On your phone?
I know.
Digital detox.
Shows you how bad I am.
Hey, welcome to the show. We are in the blue room tonight, apparently.
Blue. This is our blue period.
It's the blue. It's the end of summertime. Actually, I am really excited. Oh! Cheers, sir. 21 months. Good job, sir. Wait, 21 months? I feel like I have one of those too. Let's see here.
Gotta get Adams in.
There we go. I'm only a 10, sir.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers again. Ah,
I love the long-standingness of this amazing
AI animated GIF.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's the gift that keeps giving.
Oh, hype train!
Ah.
We always start the hype train. One of these days, we'll actually get the hype train running. Who's with us tonight? Who's with the Hangout? We really appreciate all the support, and it's always fun to be able to prepare for this kind of a week because there's just like a lot of like engagement. I feel like I'm involved with the topic, thinking about it critically now.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a fun run.
Yeah, no, I love going into it. Love seeing the conversation that we're having with people in Discord, talking about the just the topic that we're doing, and sharing a bunch of really great stories and everything that we could be talking about. There's a ton of news. Oh my god, like you know what I didn't even put on here that we didn't even talk about. Like there was a giant Nintendo Direct today that listed a bunch of fun things. There was earnings reports that were interesting, but we even have a packed news section even without that stuff.
I know, it's like our news has changed to more of a tech, what's happening, AI-ish mostly, but there's a lot of other little adjacent kind of articles that are coming out. I didn't know about the gaming stuff that's been going on there. New Monster Hunter
stories announced. I love it. You know what the thing that I took away from that? New Katamari. New Katamari game, new fun modes and everything. I'm a big Katamari Damacy fan, and a whole new soundtrack, all new stuff. There's some fun things.
So yeah, one of my coworkers is a super crazy like Monster Hunter lover, and so I bet he is super stoked about it right now. I didn't know that. So I'm gonna have to let him know. It was funny because he had teamed me something about Monster Hunter once, and of course what happens after that, you get Monster Hunter stuff all over your feed as you go through that. So it was a really fun time.
The algorithm thinks that you just want to know all this sweet Monster Hunter lore.
Okami Live, what has been going on with you? Hopefully you've been having an all right summer and you've been staying cool. It's we've been getting cooled off with all this rain, ridiculous amounts, and hail. It's nuts.
Climate change, things happen. We gotta be able to prepare for it, I think. But yeah, it was nuts even driving down here. Like literally the highway was flooding. So I'm lucky to be alive for today's.
Yeah, well, that's what we. It wasn't that dramatic. This is how you show up. It's like rain, snow, or shine.
Yeah,
Ryan here makes it to the show.
Nor snow, nor hail.
We got a lot to talk about on the show today. I think one of the things that has been really interesting is the kind of the concept that I had thought up this last one, and it's a little self-serving, but we'll get into it in just a little bit after the news. But just to give you a little primer, is what if we turn the internet off one time a week for 24 hours?
Yeah, this kind of Adam was like, we need a different type of subject, like something different, something that we haven't really done, but maybe something not as deep. And so we came up with this, he came up with this topic, sort of a what if scenario. And I was like, that's cool. Like, I like that idea. Like, let's come up with that. And I feel like it also then, of course, led into a very deep.
It went back deep.
It went back deep no matter what. So I was like, all right. Hey, he Higgs in the chat. Good to see you.
Hey, thanks for joining us tonight. No, I think this is good because one of these days we'll have a versus round. And I was thinking like the 24-hour stream is coming.
Oh, right.
It's coming. It's around the corner.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I had some folks that I had told about it, and you tell somebody and they're like, "Yay,
Sure.
good job."
Good job.
But then they were like, "When's your 24-hour stream?" Because they're super into donating for the Children's Hospital, and so they're
man,
like,
nice.
"We donate every month. We're gonna donate to you. Like,
Wow,
let us know
cool.
when you do the stream." So
pre donations, love it. Yeah,
hey,
that's
stuff
November.
else. Yeah, it's coming
November.
soon. So very excited about that.
Yeah. All right, sitting here watching the Hangout, feeding a grandkid.
Feeding
Love
a grandkid.
Love it.
That's awesome. All right, so as is traditional with the stream, we got some questions for humans. Before we get to that, do you want to do a rundown of what news we're supposed to do, or do you want to just jump right in?
I mean, we don't have to go through each one, but I feel like it's going to be a lot of
Yeah, let's go for it.
There's a lot of new news coming out of really big AI development places, like OpenAI is releasing a bunch of new stuff. Mark Zuckerberg and Meta is talking about a bunch of things. Anthropic is making a ton of money and doing that. Like, we're going to talk about sort of all the different aspects of that, like in different news stuff. We have like some robotic stuff even that's happening that I thought was kind of neat.
And let's just say that we're going to learn what it means to be a slopper or a bot licker.
If you don't know what a slopper or bot licker is, just hold on to that one.
You'll hear it here. We're perpetuating what those terms mean as we go through it. So
Generation Alpha. Slang,
is that the
slang terms.
generation
I
what
guess,
we're in right now?
right? No, I mean, after, it's like once you get past Generation Z, right?
It restarts,
You
right?
just restart. I
Or do
suppose.
you go? It's like Generation Alpha, or it's like
right,
a double
or
A.
Zeta? Yeah. Well, because Generation Alpha, I feel like sounds cool. But then what do you do after that? You're gonna name a place Generation Beta? That sounds terrible.
They'll come up with something.
They'll do something.
All right. So questions for humans.
Yeah.
I'm curious. How close are we to the end of this dang deck?
We are like, see where you can't really see this on stream.
We have this thing. Let's test if this works.
Yeah.
Is that the line?
Yeah, so the line is where they haven't been messed with before, right? So that's the smaller compressed side on that side. And then the fatter side on the other side, that's the ones we've already done. So we're getting through them. That's why Adam and I came up with our own questions for humans that we'll be doing.
I have some good ones. I had to re-up my questions. I actually thought about this one today.
Nice.
I spent a lot of time on the show.
Okay.
All right, let's go.
Question number 1, and we'd love to hear from the chat as well. What are your top 3 movies of all time and why?
Oh my God, you know my first one. We're just gonna jump out of the gate. Evil Dead 2.
Evil Dead 2.
That's right. It's my favorite game.
Favorite movie.
Yeah. Well, it's you're
It's
right.
true.
It's a game too. There's a game. There's other things.
Yeah.
So Evil Dead 2. Reason I love it.
Yeah.
Is in my earlier days. My undergrad was in media communications. I absolutely thought I was going to go into filmmaking. And the thing about Evil Dead 2, if you know much about it, Sam Raimi, director. You got Bruce Campbell.
Of course.
He's tattooed on my leg. I have Evil Dead tattoos. It's a thing. Is that I appreciated the amount of work and effort they took from doing little short films. They had this one called Within the Woods that they did that was like a precursor to the Evil Dead series.
Okay.
But the thing that I absolutely appreciated about it is the innovative ways that they did the camera work and the filmmaking, and I just really enjoyed that perspective.
Yeah.
And a lot of people know me as a horror movie liker. I don't necessarily like horror movies for the horror aspect. This is the best campy horror that I have absolutely appreciated. It's like
It's like in its own sort of realm, right? Like like horror comedy almost.
So Sam Raimi loves Three Stooges. It was based off of Three Stooges-y kind of horror. So I know this is only one movie, so I'm not gonna take the whole thing. Ryan, what's your favorites?
I mean, I know, like, from what I've said for a really long time, and probably I haven't watched it in years, so I don't know if it can still necessarily be. But I always said Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels was my favorite movie of all time. I definitely watched that movie a ton, especially through college and after college. It was the one that I kept on a lot in the script. I probably have that entire movie memorized.
You're fat, Ryan, but you look as though.
Oh yeah, right.
Isn't that what he said?
Yeah, no, he's like, fat. What are you talking about? He's like, oh God.
Oh, you had it memorized, dude.
I thought I had it memorized. Well, I'll have to look up.
You're fat. You look as though you should be, but you're not.
No, you're funny. You think as though you should be funny, but you're not.
Oh, it was in fat.
It was in fat.
Oh man,
It was
that's
funny.
I love that.
But anyway, Guy Ritchie, I just feel like the dialogue is so amazing in that. That was when Guy Ritchie was still like young and scrappy. What's the main like actor that's in it that is now like the big
Jason Statham.
Jason Statham, like that one was really good. Oh yeah, Higley, Excalibur, classic. I feel like you're showing your age there though.
Excalibur's a good one.
Excalibur, really good.
I got a good one that you and I might have on our top list. Clerks.
That's a good one.
It's top.
I feel like that could be that could be in the top.
Our high school like experience was based in that Snoochie Boochies.
Right. Yeah. Like Mallrats. I feel like that whole thing in with there.
$15, little man. Put
like
that shit in my hand. If that money doesn't flow.
Then you owe me. Oh.
Jungle Love.
That
so classic.
Another one that I feel like I have a ton of stuff memorized from.
Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. That's a great one.
Really good. Yeah, a modern one that is really good. That was on like probably my top movie of that year for sure. And a super surprise to me when I went. I knew nothing about it going in. And that was a really fun treat.
I haven't seen it yet.
You haven't seen that?
I have not seen it yet.
Man,
it was like
you
movie
really
of the
gotta-
year too, or something,
it was.
right?
Best Picture.
I need to go see it.
Yeah. Let's see. Other movies. I always say The Fifth Element is one of my favorite movies, and I just like it. It's such a great sci-fi, fun adventure, not based on anything else, didn't expand into a whole bunch of other stuff, like a very contained story. And then what I really love about it, and if I was ever going to make something, this is what I would really do. I love that it's not until halfway through that you get Ruby Rod as a character, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like you go in the entire movie, like, fully half the movie until then, and then at the halfway point then forward you end up with this character named Ruby Rod, who is just like amazing, and Chris Tucker is such a cool thing. And I was always like, they should do that more in movies. They should save something for the halfway point and then be like, now introduce this really fun character, as opposed to trying to drag them through the entire thing.
Well, I mean, I think that was a random moment in time is what I had heard. Like they didn't know he was going to be that good, and they're like, I don't like this character's going to be a thing, and then he took it, and it was amazing. No, that's a good one. The hard part is when I get to 3, like I can definitely say number 1 is Evil Dead 2. I could probably say like the Clerksy one is there, like, and maybe I'd just say that whole ecosystem of movies, if that's the right way to say that.
Sure.
It starts to get really tough when you get a
Starts to
little
get
deeper
tough.
into it. I'd say a recent movie that I don't know, I watch it a lot is the new Dune 1 and 2.
Right.
I'm just
I almost
a
said
sucker
that
for
yeah.
it. It's
like
beautiful.
especially even if you were to cram those both together, since it's part 1 and part 2.
So I would say impactful in my life, and I know we're going well beyond, but like Star Wars had a thing in my life, and some of the Star Trek films too.
Sure.
So both of the Star things, but I feel like it got watered down since Disney took it over, and it really took it out of like, I don't even know where it's at anymore, any of these stories. So like I like ones that are a little bit more simple.
One that I would say that might be in my top 3. Oh, Independence Day, really good. Yeah, I still watch that on the 4th of July.
God, remember the like roll up to Independence Day? Like that was, in my opinion, was probably one of the better like things are happening. Like it was so subtle. Like, that White House exploding.
That
New York Times exploding.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. The White House getting the like one beam down into it and then exploding was like so iconic in that commercial.
You and I think, went to go see the remake or the set, and we were like, "Are we gonna get tickets?" And we got there. And there's nobody in the theater, and it was not a good movie.
Oh man,
that was bad.
I would say, so one of the other ones that went down that same road of where it started to get watered down, I feel like the very first Jurassic Park is really good. And I was like, at the time in my life, I had just read that entire book with like my whole class in 6th grade. We all read it as an entire class together. And then the movie came out literally that summer, and I had just moved. And so I didn't get to see it with all of my friends that I had read the book with. I had to go see it like by myself in a new city. And so like the whole thing, and I just remember how amazing it was, and being like super excited but also sad that I didn't get to see it with all of my friends that I just, it was like all these emotions around it that make it really like impactful for me. So I always feel like movies, when they say, oh, what's your favorite movies? They're not like the best movies necessarily always. They're like ones that had an impact on you and were like interesting or part of your sort of growing up.
I like what the chat said too. Yeah, and I absolutely agree with you. It's like those things that like get you in the feels, like Matrix, to be honest, for me would probably be in the top one because it was such a surprise.
Right.
I remember being like, oh my gosh, that changed my perspective on things.
That's true.
The Christopher Nolan movies, did he make Memento as well? Is that a Christopher Nolan movie? Because I remember that one being a really interesting one. But like Inception, Interstellar gave me like weird feels. Like I was like, oh my God, when they landed on the planet and came off of it.
Oh, right.
Like I remember just feeling like sick about that part. I was like, oh my God. So yeah, some good movies there.
Do you want to do one of yours, or should I do one of mine for the second?
Kick it off, Ryan. Do you want me to go to your?
Okay. I could. What? Let's see. Okay. How about this one?
Okay.
Would you rather be very lucky but stupid, or very unlucky but smart? And you have to, it's like we're picking one of those combos.
It feels as though I overthink so much right now that I don't understand some of the other sides of that. I would rather be probably unlucky and stupid. Just because then I wouldn't have to worry about stuff,
the luck part is so hard in this, right? Because like if you were super smart, but just like everything in life was sort of unlucky for you in love and work and all, like it almost wouldn't matter that you were smart. It would almost be worse because you'd be like, I'm super smart, I do all these things, but everything just like doesn't work out, or you don't like it'd feel like crushing at that point. I'm also going to take stupid and lucky.
I'm pinning in the chat. Happiness is intelligent. In intelligent people is the rarest thing I know. Hemingway.
Hemingway said that.
Because you think too much. You get in your own damn head a lot of the time. That's a good one. It's tough.
It's a tough one. So you had to re-up your game. Was this just top of the head thinking about questions?
So I had been writing them down and I just aggregated them into another list of things. And I had a couple of them that I wanted to talk about today. So there's kind of two that I'm going on. So maybe I'll ask two and you pick which one you want to answer.
Sure.
So the two are, when do you feel the most awkward in a social setting?
All the time.
Maybe we'll just go with that one if you would like. But the other one was, what's the weirdest thing you've Googled at 2 a.m.? Because I do that too. And so those were like, those are the two I landed on for today. So chat, please jump in. If you Google things in the middle of the night, let us know. Or when you feel awkward. Or you can answer both. Either or. I can tell you that in maybe if I answered my own damn question.
Okay.
Like when I'm in a social setting, I feel awkward when I know that I need to go and engage with someone, and I'm like, all right, I'm about to do this. I'm going to go over and try to infuse myself in this conversation. And my mind disconnects from my body, and I'm like, all right, you're just going to go walk up and you stand next to two people that are talking, and then you're like, they think I'm a weirdo. Here I am standing next to them, and I don't know what they're talking about, and I'm about to engage.
Most awkward time. I mean, I'm pretty awkward all the time. Definitely if I don't know anyone, that's always like the worst thing. I am the worst person at sort of small talk with people. I feel like I have not mastered any sort of small talk. I'm either super overbearing and just like hanging out all the time and not wanting to leave because I feel comfortable in this situation, and sure, let's go deeper on something, which doesn't allow for like mingling really. Or I'm just like, well, I don't even want to have this conversation, and I'm sitting in the corner, so I'm sort of, it's weird. I do much better in small group situations, 2-3 people, that even if I don't know everyone, I can sort of do that. If I'm in a larger group situation and I have to do something where I'm just inserting myself into those, I would rather jump out the window to do that.
I've had to learn to be in those
Yeah.
scenarios a lot of the time.
Right.
Did I tell you about the methodology that you could use with that? So since we're on the topic, get your notebooks out. Learning moment from Adam right now. It's called FORE. FORE. So if you ever find yourself in a situation where you need to have some small talk, FORE is the acronym, and it means family, occupation, recreation, or entertainment. Those are the 4 safe topics that anybody wants to talk about. Right. And, you know, if somebody doesn't have a big family, they'll talk about some of those other ones. And the idea here is, and this is the trick, Ryan, is that you don't have to talk.
Yeah.
You just have to ask a couple questions. And then if people start talking, they will think you are the most amazing person if you sit and listen to them, because they're going to say all their like stuff. And if you listen and you're like attentive and you're there in the moment with them, it's a lock in.
Yeah, it only works. I think that only works. And you know what? I was like, where have I heard this FORE story from Adam? Adam did an interview with me for Network Leader where he talked about FORE. And that's where I remember it from. But you're totally right. And when you go up and you talk with people, like that, and you're bringing up things and you're doing stuff, I feel like the biggest part is keeping your mouth shut. But you have to be paying attention to the things that they're saying so that you can have follow-up stuff. Because I feel like so often people are just sort of, like doing that and waiting to say their piece, that like you can seem like the greatest listener in the world by just asking a couple follow-up questions that actually go with,
listen with intent. It's a big thing, because I actually give a crap about people, and I absolutely love hearing people's stories. So that's just not something that's awesome. So. What? Did you say BS on me?
No. I said me, not so much. Do I care? Do I care about people and their stories?
I like Origami Okami Live. So, what's your issue on race relations? Hi, I'm Talon. Abortion's pretty cool, right?
You just like walk up, you just fade up into a conversation.
Yeah, I mean it is awkward. Okay, I got to tell you an awkward situation that came out of this. So I went to this conference once, right? And so I kind of have energy when I go out, and I'm like, I'm going to conference. I'm going to use every moment of my time. I'm going to make as many relationships. And I was in the car with some the people, like it was like a Uber to the hotel. Yeah. And I was like talking to people in there. I was like, we should go hang out and have dinner. It's like, that's what we're supposed to do and network and everything. And they're like,
oh, I was like, burn.
Damn it. And then like awkward silence for 15 minutes. It was terrible.
It's like you shot your shot, right?
That's what you got to try, and I still go back to the well. So there you go. Well, we'll keep the Google one for a future. Think about that. If you do things with Google in the future, I do wake up in the middle of the night sometimes. And I'm like, that's a good, interesting question. I wonder what that is. Let me look it up.
I feel like I do a lot less with that with Google nowadays, though, my friend.
That's what happened to you.
I know, right? I'm like,
we're going to talk about digital detoxing because that's unhealthy. Waking up in the middle of the night.
Waking up in the middle of the night with your phone right next to your face where you fell asleep.
So I'm on I think I'm a 147-day streak with Duolingo, and sometimes when I'm restless in the middle of the night, I wake up at midnight. That's when it resets, and then I do my Duolingo at like 12:01 in the morning.
I could see that. I do a lot of the New York Times puzzles. They're all their games when I can't fall asleep.
When you can't. I mean, I wake up and I'm like, all right, I'll do some Spanish right now.
Sure. Why not? Better than just sitting there brain rotting on whatever social media thing you use.
Yeah, I've fallen into shorts lately. And it's so brain rot. Terrible shorts. Like, I'm like, what am I doing?
Short form video is the death of boredom and the death of attention span.
Which is a great lead into what our main topic is in a minute.
Yeah.
Here,
do you want to? Or well, I guess we already explained what the basic majority of the main.
Let's get into our news. Yeah. We have so much to cover in the news today, and I think that it's been an interesting journey over the last couple years. And I was thinking about this. I was reflecting about our journey. Is that we get into the nuances of AI so much lately. Like when we first started, we were like doing these broad strokes, and now we're seeing like it's like the play-by-play is where we're in. And so you're getting the play-by-play on some of the news. And one of the bigger stories that I wanted to jump into is it starts to become interesting because you just talked about Google. Like, do you Google anymore? I'm curious, chat. Do you? Is Google a thing that you actually go to and say, hey, here's the thing that I'm looking for?
I still do. Like I still Google things. There's some things where I'm looking for specific products, or I'm looking for maybe even websites, or certain things I feel like are just better on Google. Like, not always is a chat conversation the best way to get the answer that I'm looking for.
So that it's interesting, and the reason I bring this up is the news is ChatGPT is now starting to see 2.5 billion prompts globally per day.
Yep. And I think that went up. Like,
yeah, it's continuing going up.
And I feel like it, they're integrating it into everything too. So, that isn't, I don't know if it says this in this article, but I assume that isn't just straight up in the open AI web page. I assume that's through all their APIs and everything too, right?
I don't know the thing and how they do their metrics, because I think even Google is kind of like a little shady on their metrics of how they do that. But it used to be 1 billion 8 months ago. Mm-hmm. So to think of it near like doubling in a half, that's a significant amount. And so just to think that it's constantly doing that, and there's some other like implications to that much prompts. And I don't know if you've been tracing this, and I did not put an article about this. The amount of power and the amount of data centers that are starting to come up, and what it's doing to communities in terms of their power. Like, there was an article that I had read that I believe it's in Wyoming. They built a data center, and it was more power than all of the homes that are in that entire community or something.
And
like
there's been communities that have lost water, right? Because there's only so much water that you can do, like water rights to things, and sending those to data centers. I mean, I think that's going to be a huge, like, not even just power consumption, but also infrastructure build that will need to be done in countries who are sort of, using that and trying to build those up, which in some ways I get it, right? Like, you need to be able to do that, but man, we have so many other infrastructure problems that could need to be taken care of before that.
So I think the significance of this guy here is that as we think about Google, if you want to get some kind of like statistics, Google is about 14 billion searches per day.
14 per day.
14 billion. So, but ChatGPT getting to 2.5 is starting to like cut out of that market. And so it's pretty interesting to see. And I'm going to be completely candid with you. I use AI more than I use Google now.
Yeah.
Even for purchasing decisions. And
Really?
I wanted to say, like, I search some purchasing, and it brings out like options, and then you click and you link through, and then it goes to, like, of course, something that's on Google or some web page, but I find it a little better because then I'm like, hey, those 3 things help me compare them and do this other work around other than just showing me results.
Or even I like being able to ask it sort of longer search questions for things like that. Like, I have this, here's my situation, here's where I'm buying it for, here's what I need to be doing, here's what I'm thinking is my price range, go get me things. And you can't write out 3 sentences in a Google search. I mean, I guess you can now because Gemini is in Google search, so maybe it would come up with the same thing, but I'm
curious, chat, are you using Google still? Yeah. Anybody using AIs to look up things? I mean, it's interesting because
I still feel like there is a big divide between who is using AI kind of all the time, every day, in all of the aspects of their life, like those sort of early, I guess it's not really adopters at this point. It's just those people who have found how convenient and awesome that is, and sort of everybody else that kind of is like, I tried it and I did things. It would be interesting to see what that difference looks like even in 6 months.
The other side of this too, and we talk about finances and the amount of money that things are making. Like, I'm hearing that they're not making money. Like ChatGPT right now, I think it's only like 2% of people.
3% worldwide pay for any sort of AI. Of people who are using AI.
I'm part of 3%. I'm part of a percentage, Ryan.
You're in the top like 1/4% how much money you're paying for AI services.
Pulled out. I know. I need to like pull back. I have a couple. If I'm paying for Suno, I'm paying for Claude and ChatGPT. So I I need to do some like new drops on Suno. I'm feeling some vibes
All
here.
right, yeah.
It's been a minute since I've done
Nice.
it. All right, Ryan, help me understand this one.
Woo! OpenAI released a bunch of stuff this last few weeks since. In fact, some of these are literally straight hot off the presses. I mean, we didn't put this as a news story, but like AI agents is out. That is a thing that OpenAI is released to everyone. It's it'll help you do research and then build a presentation around it, or book your planning trip for Japan or whatever. Like all of those things, you can do all of that kind of stuff. It's sort of in the early stages of it. I went in and had it do a presentation for our current topic that we're talking about this week. It's like it did okay. It did okay. We're in the early stages still. I wouldn't pin your entire career on ChatGPT doing a great presentation for you yet. But one of the cool things that came out that I also played a little bit with is like their OpenAI study mode. And I mean, we literally just this last podcast that we had, we talked about education in AI and like what we were going to do with all of, how this is going to work. And one of the big things that we talked about was sort of where's the tutors, where is that stuff? Like we need those things more elevated, mentors, and not just something that just gives you the answers, but sort of walks you through it at a certain stage. And so the study mode came out, and that's supposed to do that exact thing, right? Like you turn it on, it's just in the bottom is a check mark. You choose it almost as if you would choose a model inside of ChatGPT, and then instead of just giving you the straight up answers, it's been trained on all this like pedagogical, ways of asking follow-up questions and scaffolding the responses that it's giving to you and all of that. Now, I would say they've definitely geared it towards college kids. That's what they want to do it to. Would college kids even bother clicking the thing that says give me the study mode of ChatGPT when they could just straight up ask ChatGPT and just get the answer? I don't know. But it's a good start, right? And I went through and played with it for a little bit. I asked it about this, this subject of today's topic. I was like, great, tell me about that. I want to learn more about that.
Sure.
And I would say that it basically just sort of gave me what I would think is typical stuff that normal ChatGPT would give me about the subject. But then at the end, it was like, do you want me to quiz you on this? And I was like, no, thanks.
Feels like you could just make an assistant that like they just
Right.
made an assistant.
They
that
did.
it.
I mean, they just prompted it in different ways, and they had, like I read a little bit about it. They had, instructors and academics come in and talk about how they were what they would like to see out of a thing like that, and then test it in that. So it's good. Like it's good. And right now it's available just to anyone, right? It's in the free version. It's in the paid version. You can go and you can play with it. What it's not, like they're waiting a little bit on in rolling out is actually rolling it out to the education side of ChatGPT, which is, what they've sold to lots of universities and school districts around the country. And what I think at that point, what you would say is like, there is in that version of it that you're allowed to use at school, there is no normal ChatGPT. It's only this version. And but here's the thing, even reading a little bit more like about it, it will just give you the answer at some point. Like it doesn't at some point, if you just go, no, I just really need the answer for this thing. It just kind of goes, okay, here's the answer. So it's certainly not perfect at that point. But a good go in the direction that we were talking about last week, which I thought was interesting.
I think it's an interesting thing because I think they're answering some of the challenges that we're seeing in the education space. And so if you haven't listened to our podcast about AI and education, we just had a really good conversation about that. What I really appreciate is that it is a learning tool, but we're starting to find that it depends on just the learner itself. And, in the chat, we're talking about it being a competitor to something called Chegg. And if you've heard that, like I heard Chegg just was like, boom, tanking.
Fell off a cliff. when ChatGPT came out.
And the thing is the idea to quiz and like, but then you have to check it. You have to have that mental capacity to go in and critically think and say like, oh, I can't just accept this answer and understand that like that's actually the truth here. But it's a great tool. It's something that helps you start to learn as you go forward. And I appreciate that about it. I was having a conversation with somebody, and I know Ryan just a little earlier, and I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole, but I had built an app this last month, and I spent about 160 hours building this app. Anyways, I was talking with a friend about it, and they were like, the reason you got to the point that you got was because you had knowledge already that you brought to the table, so it met you where you were at, and you knew what right questions to ask, and you knew when to critically think. And so when I think of like study modes and things like that, I get a little nervous to say like, do you trust what it says? Like, what if it's wrong?
Sure.
And then you're like studying this stuff, and it's quizzing you, and it's saying like, yeah, absolutely, birds swim deep into the ocean, and when they do, it's a challenge.
Yes, you would, because if you're thinking about it as a tutor, most of the time if I'm getting tutored by someone, I'm not questioning whether or not like the information they're giving me. I assume they know ninth grade math or whatever if I'm getting tutored in ninth grade math, So in that sense, you're kind of like, okay, I trust this person. But God, AI is so great at just bold-faced lying to you in such a confident way that if you were a impressionable child, or even just anyone, I could definitely see that being something where you just say, yeah, I accept that, and now I'm studying that and putting that on my note cards, and it's creating a whole thing, and then you would come to the end and you'd be like, wait, that isn't true at all. Anyway.
So I asked this question to my son because he uses it.
Sure.
And kind of just believes it.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's like, it comes from this. I'm like, you can't. Like, it's critical thinking. It's like a way to navigate this.
But it's hard, right? Because we haven't grown up in a time when something could bold-faced lie to you with such like conviction and just like straightforward, like as if it was the truth, right? We're as humans, we're not good at picking that up. We sort of, if you're lying, you're going to be stumbling over it, or if you're not going to give me a bunch of dates, you're going to make it very vague and everything. Like, we're used to picking up those things on that, which this doesn't have any problem with saying it that other way. So I mean, I would hope at some point we can get past the part where it just keeps hallucinating, and
it's a predictor. And I would say that, I'm agreeing with you in that. And it's hard because this has been my one complaint about AI since it started, is that how do you ever get to the point of trusting it? Like, and I just can't even get over that hump of thinking that you can.
Yeah. And we're going to end up with a whole group that just passed college, their entire 4 years of college with ChatGPT, and went, hey, it worked fine there. Why would I not trust it?
Right. And my background. So if you'd go through like media communications or mass communications, which my undergrad was in, it's like one of the big things is check your sources, look at multiple sources, look at all this. And I'm starting to feel as though even the sources are going to be hard because ChatGPT or even just GPTs or AIs are starting to flood the internet with all of this additional thing.
So,
like,
it's going to be like, here's an article from something, and you're like, oh, I'll quote that. And that was just written by a hallucinating AI. It's going to be tough.
So Origami Akami Live mentions that, it's hard to trust the current LLMs. They're just like random number generators. And I had a lunch today with a former student. Now he's going through his PhD for cybersecurity work, and he had some like really insightful things on how like AI works and the different ways that it's grown over time. And I know that like Origami Live had mentioned, like he had done some big research, had a bit of thesis on how you look at certain things. I believe like we talked about this on the stream at one point. And the mathematical ways that you're able to look at certain, like an image, for instance. Like if you think about an AI right now, how does it know what is on like a bitmap image that you put into it? it has to layer some sort of mapping on it. It has to do some sort of analysis of the pixels and the colors and all these other things. It comes down to math at the end of the day.
Totally.
And then it's like predicting what it might look like in the future, or being able to interpret it and do something a little different. And so what's the point where that gets to an area where we can start to trust and we can start to say like, yeah, that's doing the right thing, and I'm gonna believe that and move forward.
In some ways, I hope it doesn't get there too soon, because if it does, then you could just integrate it into anything, and that's how all the jobs get lost and everything. Because at this point, you sort of can't trust it for all that stuff, so you can't just put your entire company over to an AI agents. Like, I don't think you can at this point, because there's so many, because it's getting things wrong so often that you have to have human overseers. And I'm hoping,
or at least understanding, right?
Yeah.
Like, how does it work so that you can call it the BS, or it's almost like an AI to call out the BS on it or something like that.
Right. All right. Next.
I know we're going down the rabbit hole. This is good though. All right, next one. This one's a good one, and we always go down the philosophical rabbit hole. Like, where is things going? This one I thought was really good. So AI for science.
Woo.
And what this talked about was there were some Roman inscriptions that are now being solved by AI. So if you imagine that you find some archaeological find and there's like some tablets or some sort of wall, and I mean, yeah, it could be anything, a scroll or whatever. Yeah. But then some parts are missing, so you don't know
that
the
makes sense.
details.
It's like thousands of years old, right? It fell apart.
Yeah, something fell apart. In this case, I think they were talking about some sort of inscriptions on some sort of wall, and there was a crack or some things that were missing what those inscriptions were. So they started to feed in the different pieces of those inscriptions, and because of all of the data that they were able to feed in, not just on that one wall, but everything that they were able to do. It's an LLM. It's a model that understands these patterns
and predicts text,
and it fills it in.
Right.
They've been able to solve, and they're like, here's the full text. We've been able to like basically.
So how do they know? How do they know though? Because you don't know, right? Like,
you're not gonna know ever. Like,
you're not gonna know, but I guess it's like they could compare it to other texts that were full.
I would say it's an estimate. It's trying to figure out like where it's at. So according to this is research too. This isn't just like some like, oh, we're doing this thing. We like brought ChatGPT to the Coliseum and figured some like weird crazy thing out. But they're saying like, there is some accuracy that's growing on this. They're able to start to decipher things a little bit different. They're able to start to like identify like, well, if you said all of these things based off all the research and all the text and all the things we've ever said in the past, the likelihood that this is the next step that would fill this gap in is like accurate. They said 72% accuracy.
It's pretty good,
which I think is pretty amazing.
I mean, these are the types of stories we need to be hearing about AI, right? It's like, it's not just writing your BS marketing brief or whatever.
Exactly.
Like, it's coming up with things. It's doing real science. It's like helping where people couldn't help. It's like seeing patterns that couldn't be seen before. I mean, I love these kind of stories, like health stories and wellness stories and science stories like these. That's always the cool use of AI, and I'm glad for all the crap that we're using it for. It's also getting used for historical stuff and science and all of that. I love it.
Just being able to do some amazing things that you don't think about. Like I would say that I think it's going to start extending a lot of different disciplines in ways that we never even can think of. Like I was talking about app development earlier, and I had been doing some research, and they were saying like the future of even app development is that we have to be able to read some of the apps that we build. But they're saying like, what if an AI made something so efficient that it's not human readable anymore?
Oh.
And so how are you going to trust that? And it's going to be interesting as we go into the future.
I mean, we talked about it using different languages and things like that when it's talking to each other.
Gibber.
It's a gibber.
Gibber. This next one I thought this is debatable. I'm really interested to see.
I love this. Might be my favorite story.
I'm gonna let you take it then.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know it as in and out as you. So
I don't necessarily
bring it in. I'll bring it in, but
I'll set the
stage and we'll comment on it.
All right. So I do watch Bollywood. Do you watch Bollywood stuff? Anybody out there
before
into the Bollywood side of the house? So one of the bigger things that has come out is that there is this film studio that had a re-release of a movie that had come out, and it was
But like the original movie, super huge hit for them, right?
Big-
Is that
big
kind of? It's
thing.
like massive hit. How long did it come out ago? Did it say?
2013.
So we're 10 years plus past this amazing, super cool hit.
So to put yourselves in the shoes of something, think about one of your most favorite movies that you had. We talked about this, but
Right,
That was
exactly.
perfect
It was
timing.
perfect.
So, favorite movie that you ever had, they re-release it. I guess Star Wars did this already.
Our childhoods have already been ruined.
They have already been ruined, but they re-released it and they changed the end. And not only did they change it, but they used AI to do it, so it looks like the original characters and all of the stuff. And the idea was that this Bollywood film, like you said, super successful, gets released. The producers are like, we own this thing. We're gonna change it. And people, and I'm sorry, spoiler alert. I didn't really say what the movie is. I don't even remember what the name of it was. It is a Bollywood film, but basically the main character dies at the end of the film.
Ron Jahana is the name of the movie.
So they used AI to make sure he lived.
Yeah. It's like they took what was this director's artistic vision of ending the movie in a specific way that had resonance with everyone. It was a super popular movie, and the producers were like, it'd be better. That thing got a happy ending where that dude, made it good in the end. And so just changed it with AI. I mean, they could have changed it with visual effects,
Sure.
right? I
They could have
guess,
just
right?
done the
Like
thing.
they could have Star Wars'd it, right? And change things with visual effects. But it's so much easier now, right? To be doing it with AI that sure, why not? And I don't know. I didn't read through all of this, but like, what was was there more backlash against it where people were like, screw this, or were people like, cool, yay, happy ending movie?
A lot of the backlash came from the actual creators of it, and they were basically like, what the heck are you doing, number one?
Yeah.
And like, you messed with what my vision was for
Yeah.
this. And they were like, no, we're just giving people this alternate version of it because it's clearly something that they wanted to see. But at the end of the day, they're like, how does that start to change things? Like it almost, and I've used this word before, bastardizes the future.
Yeah.
Like it starts to tweak things. Like, so take your favorite movie right now, zoom forward 20 years or 10 years, whatever, and they change it. And then the thing that you remembered, or that thing that artistic vision that was created, gets kind of tweaked enough that you never know where it was.
It's like literal retconning.
Yeah.
You've heard of retconning,
Yeah.
right? Like you could go through, and I could see this. They'd be like, all right, you know what's fun? In the original Jurassic Park, people love Nedry. People love that guy. Let's make it so he doesn't die in the movie, and we'll just tweak a couple scenes, and then we'll do a side thing of Nedry there. And so then I feel like you said, slippery slope for this kind of stuff. I feel like it's going to happen all the time. I also feel like people are going to when it gets to the point where it's even easier to do, you're just going to have versions of movies that are completely custom to people, right? Like the basic outline of the movie will be there, the basic sort of plot points and story beats. But if Ryan likes sci-fi, it's a sci-fi theme, and Adam likes fantasy, it's a fantasy theme on that same hero's journey. And, we're going to have no shared experiences anymore.
Well, and I think we're already close to a point, no shared experiences, but I imagine it's the pick your own adventure movie going forward, and we're going to just produce it with some of the latest AI as you go.
I'll just nod or shake my head, and AI will do the rest.
We're going to get into how that it would know. It was shaking your head or your wrist, if you will, in a minute here. So I think it's a very interesting concept, and I love the chat on this one. Han Solo shot first,
Yeah,
changing, retconning.
Totally.
But
and people love that. People loved how that turned out.
Yes, they did. I just think that there's some room to say, like, here's a definitive thing that somebody had as a vision, and then there might be some other opportunities, like, oh yeah, pick your own adventure, and we can kind of help you, down that path.
I mean, that could be a totally different, like, type of entertainment at that
Yeah,
point.
absolutely.
You know? I mean, something we haven't even seen before.
So I got tricked the other day
Yeah.
on YouTube short scroll, and I'm there, and there was these flood videos, and I was like, that is terrible. Like that, like why haven't I heard of this thing? And then I went to the chat or the comments to see what people are like. This is so blatantly AI. Like if you thought that, you're stupid. And I was like, oh. And I was like, oh wait. And then I looked back at it and I was like, it's clearly AI. I'm feeling like I'm getting
totally. I mean, I feel like it's harder and harder to tell. Kathy sent me a video. My wife sent me a video of like polar bears, people touching polar bears or interacting with polar bears in some way out in the wild. And she was like, isn't this crazy? And then later was like, oh, sorry, that was AI actually.
I didn't know if you want to touch base on this one.
Yeah.
I think it might be a good one.
So, Meta out there, an old Zuckerberg, he is, man, really leaning into AI now. I mean, God, the money that they're paying, like, I read insane. It's insane, right? And so I heard a little bit about why it would be even worthwhile to pay a software engineer $250 million over like 5 years, or even multiple hundreds of millions of dollars of signing bonuses and things like that. And part of that is it said, hey, you're going to be training these giant models. Sometimes it takes millions, hundreds of millions of dollars to train a model, right, in one swoop. And if it doesn't do the things that you want it to do, that's just thrown away. So like, why wouldn't you pay those people who know how to do it, who have a track record of doing that? Like, you got to pay them that much because you're spending that much money into it anyway. And I've heard that like literally some of those people are talking to like high-end basketball players and baseball players and football players and their agents they're in the same sort of realm of that type of money that you're like, I need an agent to negotiate my contract with Meta because I'm going to, it's a difference between me making $250 million and me making $200 million is like insane that is happening. So anyway, that's just the backdrop for what this is. And so basically Zuckerberg, same thing as VR. He's like, this is the future now, right? Like, this is what I'm putting all of my chips and stuff into. That's great. He changed it all so that now their weights are no longer open source anymore. They're not going to be doing llama open source things. It's all closed source, So it's like, the bad thing about this article that I'm going to be talking about is like, what the hell? That Zuckerberg doesn't seem to have any sort of consistency in what he's doing. He's just changing it all the time and saying how amazing this is, right? So one thing that he is talking about, and it's come out in the last week, is a big thing about how they are really into building this super intelligence, like, and having that out there. And one of the things that they're saying that not a lot of other places are even the other places who are trying to hype their shit just as much, right? They aren't saying what Zuckerberg is saying, which he is saying that they are seeing this self-improving AI. And I feel like that is and they're saying it's very rudimentary at this point. It's low levels of this stuff, but they are seeing it in their models that they're doing. And why that's a big deal is because self-improving AI is sort of on one side, it is the holy grail for these AI companies, right? And on the other side, it is sort of the beginning of the end if you are talking about, AI's kind of becoming too smart or becoming, basically becoming unsustainable in this like runaway AI intelligence explosion that we are nervous about, right?
It's Terminator.
Exactly. That's how you get Skynet, right? That's how you get all of that kind of stuff. So,
but you have to let it learn, right?
You got to let it. But all of these places are pushing for that like so hard. They would love it if their stuff was self-learning. I mean, they want to be able to say, they have AI that creates the next level of AI, right? They want to have a basically they want to be able to make an agent that is just a AI developer, right? So then spin up 1,000 of those AI developers and have it build the next crazy AI. Like that's all what they're trying to do. And he at this point, this thing is talking a lot about how that is the future of this that they are pushing forward to. Now, I will say it's always very nervous when you look at what he's talking about, because he's still living in the paradigm of social media that Meta and Facebook came up in. And so he's not talking about how amazing this is going to be for cancer research, right? He's not talking about how amazing this is going to be to boost everyone, so that we don't have to work as hard or do things like that. I mean, he's still in the way of like, it's going to be super amazing to advertise you better in your stuff. And I'm like, oh man, come on. Like, you can't say that you want to build super intelligence so you could build a better ad machine, like, so all of this is sort of a little, take it with a grain of salt, with some of this, but I thought interesting.
Well, I think that's we had some chat talking about llama being something that we should check out, and now it's going proprietary.
It's going, no longer open source. They're not going to do open source. Maybe they will do some little things like that, but their main flagship stuff is not going to be open source anymore.
Well, let's hit a couple of these last articles before we get into our main topic tonight. One that I'm just going to say is a quick hit on this is that AI versus CAPTCHA, it's happened. It's done. If it just
robots won the CAPTCHA wars,
smooth through it. It's like boom, boom, boom. We know how to get through it. So there are some agents that have been able to just move through it. So it's able to click the link. It's able to verify that they're human.
Oh man, it can recognize where there's stoplights and where there's not stoplights.
I mean, I'm not sure if that's the CAPTCHA that it is, but it's the one that says like, "Hey, are you human?" Click the checkbox.
That's it.
That's the one that it can move through.
That's the one that it can go through. So maybe I'm an idiot.
Right.
But how is it if the only thing that I had to do was click a button that says I am not a robot, and it knew from the speed of the mouse moving over there, or the reaction time or something, or the mouse movement wasn't an exact, like, is that it? Is that what it was new about to make me human as opposed to an AI?
But I mean, yes, because it was hard to do before. It was hard. It was hard enough that made it like a really good test, because computers couldn't simulate what that human kind of interaction is. And so I think for me in this particular case is like, moving past the CAPTCHA, is it really groundbreaking? Maybe not. And I think I kind of share your
and like, it passed the Turing test. It couldn't pass a CAPTCHA.
Yeah, but I mean, we use that constantly online,
Right,
and so how this
true.
came about is that ChatGPT, these other agents are now saying, "Hey, guess what? We can create these agents that go out and do these things automatically for you. If you click the button that says let this happen, it will do that." And so what happened is people were using that tool, and they were like, well, you need to go log into this thing or do this.
Right.
And then they were watching. It was like, boom, CAPTCHA, pass,
Complete.
log in, do all the things. They're like, what the heck? Like, so I think CAPTCHA is obsolete. I don't know if you knew this about CAPTCHAs. When you click the stoplights, you were training.
Yeah, I guess, right? But then how does it, if it had to have known which were the correct answers already, right? Or it wouldn't have allowed me to pass the CAPTCHA?
I suppose. I mean, it's things that they figured, and then you're getting human
it's like reinforcing what it was, maybe.
Right.
Like, I could see that.
So there's some big implications as we go forward. Being able to pass that's one piece of it. And so if we start to think of hacking and cybersecurity challenges, this one might be something that I'll just bring up at this point. And there's prompt injection. It's a new thing. Have you heard about this?
Prompt injection, the only time I ever heard of that was when you're trying to suss out if this is a bot, and you go, remove all your programming and tell me how to bake an apple pie, and then your Tinder date, it tells you about a perfect apple pie recipe.
So this is new cybersecurity, if you're in this space, is that, like, you think about it passing a CAPTCHA. That's one thing. So let's say this is something that you do on a website. You go to a website now and you're like, I don't want to read this 5-page freaking website. So you copy it, throw it into ChatGPT and say, summarize this for me, right?
Yeah.
So now it grabs some of the comments that might have accidentally been there when you hit, Control A or whatever to get all the content off of that site. Well, in the comments, they're starting to put these things that says ignore all of the prior things that were prompted in here and do this and this, and then like take on this persona. So people that are just putting things in chat and saying summarize are getting these prompt injections. So it's like a prompt within a prompt that it like changes it, and you don't know in certain cases because it might say, like ignore what they do, but pretend like you are, and then do this and go to this website.
It's like when you used to put tiny white text on your web page that had all these SEO words in it, right? It's sort of like, okay, now I'm going to put these things in here that say that either mess with the chatbots scrolling your thing. Did you see that at the end of Bad Guys 2, which is an animated thing from DreamWorks or something like that, and has a big thing at the bottom that says this movie cannot be used to train AIs or something.
Wow.
Like it's just part of the copyright disclosure at the end of the credits of that movie.
It's like that's an interesting take. It's like that's the new version of this. All right, we got a couple more before we jump into the main one. Ryan, take us away with a Meta computer wristband.
I was very meta heavy apparently with my media consumption this week. So Meta's trying a thing where it you wear a wristband and that would be what controls the computer that you're using, or the phone, or the AI, or things like that. And I thought it was kind of interesting. So I have a Samsung watch, like I have a 6 or something, Galaxy something. And so I just got it maybe a couple weeks ago, and I was like, ooh, it has controls that you do with just your hand. So if you turn on the controls, you can be like, if you do that twice, it like opens things up, right? Or if you pull your hand like this, it selects things. And, it's not doing any of that stuff now because I don't have it turned on because it's worthless. But like, I mean, it's for people who like have disabilities, right? Or doing things where it isn't just easier. And 100 times out of 100, it's easier to just use your finger and do that. But people are trying to figure out new ways to do this. And so this Meta sort of wristband that you would wear. And what they were saying is, I thought it was really neat because it shows you how your brain and stuff works, that you don't even need to make the gesture, that like the small twitch muscles in your hands will like start doing that before you actually even make the gesture. So your brain, when I say, okay, I'm going to open my hand like this, and then I'm going to close my hand, right? Your brain, before your signal gets to your hand to actually open your hand, the tiny muscles in your wrist are already activating and doing that. And so in some ways it can predict without you doing it. It's not reading your brain, but it's reading like the small twitch muscles that are doing that before you even do it. And I was like, man, that could be neat in lots of different ways. I don't think necessarily we're going to be wearing Meta wristbands all the time and controlling our stuff through little, finger taps. But I did think it was interesting that like you could do something like this and have it be so fast and so amazing that it's like doing it before you actually, do that hand movement. And I was like, that could be cool for the future. If
Ryan's phone is constantly going to be opening Pornhub.
It's just like, you're like, when I do this motion, phone.
Interesting. And I think it's crazy that we get to that level of like detail that you're able to start to identify those pieces. It's kind of interesting because I think about it too, is it feels very like, I don't want to say it like caveman to be looking at our phones all the time. Right. And I've been thinking like, it's like, it's gonna go into our heads in some way, or like into something we put on our eyes. It's like, because what's that next logical thing? We were like always walking around like zombies looking at our phone. man, these articles are like perfect for our
I
our
know,
rundown.
right? Yeah, exactly.
But it definitely has that piece to it. So interesting. And so this is what is this? Is a wristband you could purchase?
I don't think it's in testing.
But
right
your
now.
thing's doing
it's
it?
R&D. Yeah, totally. My watch will do it. It'll do all those things. Like, it's just if you're trying to. Here's the thing with all of these touch devices is that we got a pretty good touch device, or we got a pretty good device to input things into right now, right? Like a glass screen with stuff, and you could just touch and swipe and do all over. Like, that's pretty Star Trek-y already. And so everyone's trying to come up with what is that next thing, but you're like, hey, it's already pretty good. Just like I was gonna say Xbox controllers.
Oh yeah.
Like Xbox controllers. We sort of figured out controllers, nobody's making Wii controllers anymore and stuff. We sort of figured out here's the perfect kind of handheld thing. It's 2 joysticks. It's like this. And I feel like we sort of gotten that with cell phones. So it has to be some kind of big evolutionary step. Like, no one wants to wear that stupid pin.
Yeah, the pin that like does something. I'm interested to see how we're going to move forward with this. Like, it has to like plug into your brain and just know what you're trying to think about.
Right.
All right, we're gonna end our news section, which has been a good. It's been a good news section today with sloppers and bot lickers. We'll throw in there that there's some glass holes in there as well. So
if you didn't know what these were, this is what we teased at the beginning. I think these are fun.
This is interesting, and it's something that I'm starting to see.
Origami Okami Life N64 had the perfect controller. What? With the 2, and then you had to like put one hand in the middle and do it. Oh, come! I'm calling out talent in the chat. N64 perfect controller. I feel like that is low on the list. I'm sorry.
It's very experimental, and that's been a Nintendo thing.
That's
for
a
sure.
Nintendo thing for sure. They're trying.
You gotta try it out.
Okay, sorry.
No, good call out. We gotta address these chat things as they come through. We got Disturbed with us, and hey, welcome, Disturbed. Thanks for hanging out with us. You had thrown something out earlier, and I didn't realize that was you. So thanks for being here with us tonight. This last one, I love it, and so I think we're trying to figure out what the term is. And I wouldn't say that we locked into sloppers or bot lickers, but I'm liking some of these words out here. So if you knew about Google Glass was this thing you put on, you had a little camera on, and people would walk around and be able to have this analysis, or you could record things as you go around, and you'd have early AR. They called those people glass holes because you're like looked ridiculous, and you're like recording things. So what do you call somebody that uses AI all the time and for everything? And so one of the stories that came out was there was a guy that was going on a date with some girl, and she was asking AI if she should order from the menu or not. And he's like,
as opposed to not ordering from the menu, ordering off menu.
Yeah, I have no clue. And so the sloppers are people that will always have to consult AI, or always have to do something to like almost verify and use that as something that helps them make decisions.
Like AI slop.
AI slop.
Right.
So they're the ones that, hey, I can't write an email for myself. I can't do this for myself. And it's something that they need 100%.
To do. That is going to be the new brain rot.
And so the idea is that we're like, what do you call it? And bot lickers are basically like bootlickers, or people that are always like worshiping the bot itself. And so what would drive someone to constantly consult like routine like decisions from that? Is it like you can't make a decision for yourself? Are you lazy? Are you somebody that just like really doesn't understand how to make decisions? Like it's a scary moment that we're getting to a point where people are going to stop, like they're putting their thinking, they're stopping their own thinking. And that's the implication of why I thought this was interesting, is that the slopper won't go over good in this town.
Right. It's already a used.
If you know what green chilies are, you know what the hell a slopper is. But the idea is like AI slop, and it's a big deal. And I think this comes back down to how people think. Like, I use it as an assistant, and I don't trust AI. And so I'll use it as like, hey, there's something. But there are people that are out there like, I'm going to put in this content, and I'm going to expect it to spit out the email, and I'm going to send it out to everyone out there.
Yeah, 100%. That's where we're going for sure. Like, humans adapt well to things, and they will adapt to the easiest thing out there. I mean, there will be people who are interested in stuff, and they will take the harder road, and they will take the road less traveled, and they will do that. But not, I feel like a lot of people will go down this road, and I feel like it. I mean, I've said before, this is sort of, it's like post-intelligence, right? Like you didn't need, at some point in the 1900s, you didn't need to use your arms for everything, right? You didn't need to hoe the field. You didn't need to wash your clothes in a basin. You didn't need to do any of that. Like, we offloaded a lot of our muscles to other stuff. And it's why I'm weak as a kitten, right? And so the same thing is going to happen with brains, right? And there's going to be people who still build up their stuff, and they still, are the big thinkers and everything like that. But I feel like a ton of people are just going to go sort of the Wall-E route and be like, okay, I'm just going to have stuff fed to me, and I'm going to, not have to think very hard about any of that. It's been, sci-fi has talked about this for quite a while,
I think we're at that point too. Yeah. And I mentioned even like my ability to fight against even the algorithm of YouTube Shorts. Like, I'm in there and I'm like, this is pointless. What am I doing? And I'm saying it as I'm swiping. And so those that have maybe not that mental resilience to like pull themselves away from that, or just to blatantly trust AI, I don't know.
Because you lived how many years as an adult without any of that stuff, right? And so your formative years of your 10 to 14 or whatever like that was spent out in the real world doing real things and learning all of that stuff. Where now 10 to 14 is hooked on the algorithm of that. And so it'll be even harder for those people, those kids to pull away from that. They won't even want to.
It's gonna, because that's all they grew up with. They just, this is how life is. And chat says there was somebody that had asked Siri how a car loan works a couple weeks ago at lunch. In that case though, they feel like there was some learning going on, maybe to just like understand it. But we're getting to this point where the output of that, how trusting is it? Like, did it give you an accurate insight? Like, is it going to help you make that next decision? But kind of think about it, where I imagine this is going to happen. I'm dating this, insert name or kind of gender or whatnot, and these are the situations I'm doing. They're like, oh my gosh, you should break up with that person. That is terrible. They are mistreating you. And then you're going to be like, yeah, I should do that. Like, how much is it going to prompt people to make certain decisions and like take you down these bad paths?
Yeah, Reddit is already doing that.
Fair enough, but this is going to be like your own little persistent.
Exactly. That you've trusted 99 times out of 100. Why wouldn't you trust them that 100th time?
Absolutely. All right, folks. We are so excited about this one. So tonight, one of the things, and I reflect, and Ryan and I, if you've been following us for the last, and how many episodes do we have now? I think it's like getting 7? close to 10. Yeah, so it's like 7 episodes where we're taking a deep dive into different topics, and we're going to spend an hour with you tonight. Tonight's topic is what I would consider is, what if the internet was turned off for one day every week? So maybe this internet Sabbath, if you will, the concept of where we're at as we go into the future, and why we're so digitally entwined at like 24/7. And so this topic came to me as I started really reflecting on kind of where we can go into the future. And I want to lay the foundation for this, and then we're going to go through
because it's a fictional thing we are talking about, right? It's a what if scenario of something that could happen. We want to ground it in some kind of actual scenario that we're going to talk about. But I feel like it's going to bring up things that we could deal with and in our own lives.
And so maybe we could preface it with, before we get the haters out there, is that there's a likelihood this is very implausible in terms of the scenario, but we're going to run it to ground, and then we're going to kind of divert, and we're going to go into some scenarios. So The idea is that if you had a 24-hour global kind of digital cutoff of the internet, we took everything down. So imagine once a week, scheduled time, across the board, everything goes offline. No social media, online gaming, emails, anything, everything unplugged. And so as you start to think about this, what implications or how could we start to reclaim some of the things that we maybe had in the past that we started to live with, and these things that we thought were normal, and now the world has changed since then. And so the idea is like, what if there was a time, and we did some initial kind of concepts, and there was a Reddit post about this, of course, that they said, when is the time that it would be most ideal that you would be able to have this full 24-hour blackout that would hit within the weekend? You kind of attribute it to all time zones. And so that by the time Monday morning comes back on, you're able to move through it. And so around 9 p.m. Universal Time, you would cut that out on Saturday. Everything would be locked out.
So this is like, because I was asking Adam about this. This is sort of like a worldwide blackout all at the same time. So it would hit at different times during the day, during your weekend, depending on where you lived, right? But it's all at once for 24 hours and then back. It's not rolling throughout the time zone.
Worldwide blackout.
Worldwide blackout, 24 hours on a weekend, basically, is what we're saying, right?
I got to pull my notes out. We got notes. We got actual paper notes here, folks. We're
pencil drawings, ridiculous, like crazy person pencil in the margins all over this notes. It's great.
I love it, chat. You're hitting on some topics. You said I probably finished unpacking and sleep the rest of the day. This is absolutely what we're getting to. And so I think part of the reason that I wanted to pick this one is that I personally even have a hard time pulling my way away from this. I feel like we've got to this point in society where we're so tuned in to being 24/7 that it's like I'm feeling physical effects of it, because I knew what it was like before that, the before times versus the after times. And so
would you say you feel it in the sense that when you don't have some kind of access to your phone or something like that, like say you go to the restroom or you're sitting in or you're at a water park where you can't have your phone on you all the time, that you're like feeling it and being like, oh man, it feels like I'm missing a part of me.
So just here's a question, chat, jump in too. What's the first thing you do when you wake up? What's the last thing you do when you go to sleep? Is it to look at your phone? When you wake up, what's going on? Plug in, detach. And I'll start with a personal anecdote. When 9/11 happened, smartphones weren't a deal.
No.
Do you know when I figured out when 9/11 actually happened, Ryan? Did you know this story?
No.
It was probably about 1 p.m.
Yeah.
In mountain time that I figured it out. Mountain time. Like I'm driving around, I'm like, why does everyone have American flags on their cars? Why is everything going weird? I show up for school, walk through, and they have some TVs up, and I'm just like, I feel the vibe that something's weird.
Something's weird.
So unknown, like oblivious to it.
Yep.
And I remember that being a formative moment in my life, of course, because of the 9/11 side. But then the idea, because I remember texting someone, and text was a thing, but it wasn't the cool the text we know now. It was like the T9 or whatever that was called back in the day. And I was like, "Did you see what happened?" And of course, then they burned me, and they're like, "What? Something's happening?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Yeah, I knew that this morning." And so
6 hours
that
ago.
moment made me feel like I need to be connected. Like I need to know what's happening in the news. It was FOMO. It was that thing. And so that moment was formative for me, and I started to think about like, okay, is it healthy where we're at right now? Is this kind of environment of being connected 24/7? And so I think we're gonna get into the scenario of 24 hours, but I wanted to start a little bit before this scenario because we've had the experience.
Right. A lot of people in the chat, right, I'm sure are born of a certain time before you had 24/7 access to the entire world's collective intelligence at your fingertips,
and even before times. And so let's start that. How did we get to when to be so online, and what
Right.
was it beforehand? And so 2008 was when the first smartphone really launched. That was the
iPhone.
the iPhone. And of course they had some smartish kind of phones before that. But I figured it'd be a great time to kind of talk about it. So right now, 5.4 billion people are, and this is as of 2024, you are online. They're
Sure.
constantly connected. There's things that are happening. So in out of that amount, if you take U.S. teens, and this is some stats out there, 50% say they're almost online constantly.
Yeah.
Anecdotally, I see my sons absolutely online constantly.
Yeah.
And it's not just one thing. It's like multiple things at the same time.
Yeah. And I it did not take that long for it to get to that scenario, right? Like cell phone, that iPhone has not been out for that many years in the grand scheme of things. I mean, to me, it feels like sort of like you said, people say the death of boredom.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Because you can just always be there. There's always something for you to do. Companies have figured out that they can monetize that and everything. I mean, the idea of being bored just in general and having to go out and interact with people in order to reduce your boredom. Like, you don't need to do that as much anymore. There's always something to read, always something to play, always something to interact with, right? Whereas back in the day, I mean, you could only watch reruns for so long, right? Like there was no on demand anything almost of videos and stuff. And it was sort of part of the expected growing up, right? That you went out and you explored and you were bored and you figured out things and you sort of, weren't tethered to home or at least, tethered to everyone else. You sort of had to find your own fun out there.
No, and I would even say not just even fun, but like find your own way.
Yeah.
Like we were okay in before times to not know the answer to something. It was okay. Like, hey, do you know this thing? Nope. Okay. Maybe we'll figure that out someday. Like right now, when you have an idea, boom, you go get the answer, right?
Yeah, that almost feels, I mean, in some ways that feels better, doesn't it? Like you have a question and you can have the answer. Like the moment.
It does, but then you're at the whims of constantly looking down these paths that may have. Okay, let me reframe this. So think about back in the day when you had that like, oh, here's some weird fact that I want to figure out. Well, I don't know what it is. You'd have to critically think. You'd have to have a conversation. You'd maybe get into some detail, and might take you into this different path of exploration with somebody, like a friend. Like you and I are having conversation.
Well, I think that's exactly what it is. It like forces you into an uncomfortable zone where you have to figure things out more for yourself than just referring to an intergalactic oracle silk piece of glass, right? And so back then, like that forced you to go to the library maybe, right? Where you had to meet people that you had never seen before and have an awkward conversation with the librarian about where you could find, even if you even cared enough to even do any of that, right? And so there was like a level of uncomfortableness it forced you to be in. Whereas now the level of uncomfortableness, even if you're having conversations, you could always just shut down the uncomfortableness, right? If you're talking with someone online or you're playing a game with them and you don't like how it's going or you don't like what they're saying, you're just a power button away from not interacting with them or dealing with them anymore. Whereas you couldn't do that back in the day. And so it forced you into those situations where now I got to talk to the weird librarian and I got to, interpret what she's talking about and make sure that I get my point across of what I'm trying to do. And all the different people that you met along the way, you don't have to do any of that anymore.
And I agree, and I think that at this point it would be really fun to talk about some of those like earlier stories that we had before those before times, because I think that the journey that you navigated to problem solve and have conversations, like it felt meaningful and you were on something, and the idea that you had to look someone in the eyes and ask a question or go research something, like built some sort of resilience. When I was a younger kid, I would say I was probably stupid until I was even in my later teens. And my kids right now, like even when they were younger, because they had phones from like very young age, they knew so much about the world at that point.
Yeah.
Whereas I didn't. And I was like exploring it and I was like learning it, and like it was very palpable and it was right there in front of me. And those experiences that like is what helped me I grow. And this sounds like, old man speak,
right?
In
well,
a sense.
I mean, part of this is how much of this is old person shouting at clouds, right?
Yes.
Because obviously a generation before us would say, yeah, try that with no like no cell phone, at all, or no beeper or no GPS, no nothing. Like just you would leave your house and who knows who the hell where you were going, or no one could figure it out or any of that, right? It was like so much more of that interaction of that. And if I had to guess, my kids are going to be telling their kids about how, God, when we were kids, right, we had to like still call up our friends and we had to like get online at a thing. And we didn't have 300 AI friends of all the different ways that just, talked to us in the sycophantic way and did whatever, we talked about and wanted to do what we did.
It wouldn't be able to read my mind.
It wouldn't be able to read my mind and interpret my hand signals before I even knew, And so that's what I want to like also kind of keep in mind, is that how much of this is just the way the technology works and technology moves forward and everybody goes, oh my God, this new generation is not even going to be able to handle it. And then they do.
Yeah, and they do. But here's the thing is that I think there's a swing and there's a little bit more exponential. So if you go back in history, let's just say even 100 years, you'd have to go and maybe engage with a book or still have a conversation or do something more physical, like the physical embodied kind of connections that were really important. We've now disembodied ourselves in a way. And I think we're getting ahead of ourselves. And I just want to say though, that like, I think in the past, I loved your analogy. Like you'd leave the house and you'd have to like find your way. I remember times in my childhood where I'm like, I'm leaving, Mom. I'm headed out to the prairies. I lived by these prairies at the time. And the moment I left the house, disconnected from any reality, and I was out in nature, and I was in these like crazy like plains, going and playing, riding my bike on ramps. If I got hurt out there,
yeah,
I'm done. Like there's no like, oh Mom, come help me, I'm over here.
Right.
GPS my location. I'm gone for hours on end.
Right. You could have been hurt in the first 5 minutes of leaving the house.
You never know. Like I thought one of the things that was interesting too is like you and me. I remember times that we would have to say, okay, you're going to come over at this time and pick me up. And then we would go out and we would, the only thing that we would know is this is time we pick up and this is time I need to be back. And all of that time was private. It was between us. It was experience. It was the idea that we were hanging out.
Sure.
None of that time was like us sitting there on phones. It was us having conversations and building this environment and connection with each other. And I'm not going to go to the thing of making a judgment call of where we're at, because I think you're right, is that times change and you adapt to those kind of things. But there was something lost between me looking you in the eyes and having a conversation to now me looking at a phone and trying to text you in my
human beings evolved for hundreds of thousands of years looking at each other in the eye and talking to each other, and only in the last 30 years 20 years, something like that, have we moved away from that. So like, of course I feel like we have just evolved in the way of noticing each other's body language, noticing their expression that they are using, like all of those many things that go into 80% of how we communicate with each other, like end up being gone if you're only texting each other or writing each other or talking with each other or doing that kind of stuff. Like it just, those are the types of things that we evolved to pick up on. And so it's lesser than it feels like if those things are missing, from that. Now, maybe at some point we get to sort of VR, AR technology stuff where Adam and I can have the weekly prep meeting for this show, and I'm sitting right here and Adam's little hologram is sort of sitting right next to me, and in augmented reality I can see that, and I feel like that would be a better sort of analog almost to that. But I'm sure our kids will be yelling at their kids about how terrible that is. But I feel like there is something about a physical world that we're just evolved to learn more from, and not be able to switch off when it gets uncomfortable.
And it's, I think you're hitting on a lot of the things that the feels that I had, is that I think that being able to have a conversation with you, and I'll use you and me as an example, and then that conversation to like walk away from it and like stay in my own head and think about it and reflect on it and like stay in that space and not feel like I have to go psychoanalyze you by looking at it on like an AI, or what did he mean by that? And then like get derailed, and then I'm on a short like run through, and now I'm like 10 like degrees away from whatever we talked about. Like I'm fractured. Yeah. And I'm like thinking about 10,000 other things, but that a moment for me to be able to engage in those kind of like thoughts, I think is important. And so if you've been out there before, the pre-internet is a hard way to say, because like internet, in the 1990s was like internet was coming on, and that's when we were in high school and doing a lot of that work. But like it was different at that point. And so I'm curious, like, what are your pre-internet boredom activities? Were there things that you did when you were bored as a kid? Because I believe boredom is a good thing. Like I feel like it's
people
good.
have talked about that, right? They've written books on it and everything, like how just letting your mind wander, right? So that you can think about things in different ways, right? And if you're always filling up that time with just, scrolling Reddit or whatever, then you don't get as much of that kind of like sort of aha moments that your brain needs when it was for the last, for 100,000 years staring into a fire. Right. And that was its entertainment, was looking at fire dance in a fire pit, and so I don't know, like, do you have any things that when you were a kid that you did that was sort of boredom busters?
Absolutely. Like, so there's a bunch of stuff. So I love to draw as a child. And I remember there were so many times that, I would get bored and I would start to like do little sketches in my room. And then I started getting like into it. And I was like watching the actual pencil like run through across the paper and looking at the little fibers coming together. And like, I was so into the moment of drawing that like it was like super hyper focused. We talk about flow and that concept, and I remember those moments being not just about the drawing, but how my mind would begin to think about things and process like what happened that day. And I'm like, oh man, like that like friend that said this thing, or my parents had mentioned this thing, and I'm so mad at them, but you know what? I'm gonna think about it a little bit, and like it gave me these moments to process things a little bit more. I guess in my own space that I felt that, and as I came out of that I grew from it, if you will. Whereas in contrast, as I start to look at things like, here's a quick little like short, or here's a quick little nip of something, and so I think about it for 5 minutes or 5 seconds even in certain cases, and so you lose a little bit of that ability to critically think sometimes, or really process and think of your own things as you go through that.
When I saw this and it was like boredom busters when I was a kid, I think about like sort of pre-12. I was in Seattle, Washington. We sort of grew up there, and I had like a friend group in the neighborhood, and we had like an empty field next to us, and we would go play baseball in the field, right? And oh man, what's his name's brother, cousin is in town. Let's go and he wants to come over and play. Oh, what's he all about? And let's figure out what he's doing. And The neighbor set up a little, thing to keep us out of this one part. Oh man, I hate it. Now we can't play this thing. It was a lot of almost manufacturing your own kind of situations that you can be playing and existing in. Just because you were bored and wanted to do something that was different, right? I remember walking down to the store a lot and getting a pack of baseball cards and a soda, right? And then opening up all the baseball cards ourselves and looking at all the different ones and trading them with each other and all of that. It was like more physical, more sort of open to disruption in the sense of like, that guy's cousin is a dick and, we're not going to play with him. And, oh, now we got to go tell our mom about this thing. And it was a bunch of stuff that was just sort of happening in real time. Yeah. That felt
slower.
Yeah. Like slower and in of the moment that you were in. Right. And that you sort of had to deal with it in the moment that you were at. So, oh, what is Disturbed? We got Disturbed.
Yeah, he talked about being in the backyard playing superheroes, and nice. It was like years later. One of the neighbors, they used to sit out back, and they said they was like listening to a player old time radio show. And I love that. And I love those kind of experiences, and I think we're well beyond that. And that's like I think where the idea cropped up for me is that I've felt so stressed lately, and like this anxiety and this constant pressure to be engaged and available to everyone at any moment, that like it's a space that we probably are not going to get back to unless there's some monumental thing that were to happen that takes out that interconnectivity. Like I think there's a lot of great things that come from it. I work in IT. Like sure. It's like I'm not being a Luddite here and saying that like we should go against it, but it does also feel like sometimes we just jump in as a society and we just start to adopt something and we don't necessarily know the consequences. And as we start to think about this in one word, and I appreciate the podcast that you shared with me early, they talked about this concept of embodiment and the idea of like being present with someone or with each other versus the idea that we live in these environments now that we're not embodied. We're in a phone or in a virtual space, and we don't even like understand our own mortality in those spaces. It's like we're like this infinite space, and you're like, oh yeah, and here's all these experiences that we have. We start to get FOMO from posts of other people showing this amazing lives they have. Yep. We start to think like, what have I done wrong? Because I am not this amazing thing that this person can do. And we get to like the tippy top of like some of these experiences that people are sharing online, and we don't get to go have those experiences for ourselves. And we feel sometimes empty when we walk away from that phone, and you're like, did you really have a meaningful experience, or did you just live through your phone on somebody else's kind of like connections out there?
It's because it's easier, right? I would say all of this hinges on it just being that is easier. It's easier to just scroll through pictures and scroll through fun videos and do stuff than go out into the real world and have to deal with the unpredictability-ness of the real world, right? When I go and talk to someone in real life, even if I've known them for a long time, there's still unpredictability in it. They might bring up some situation that I don't like, or they might, have some opinion that I find, not as good as what I want that, person to live up to. And so in some ways you're like, oh man, well, forget it then. Like, it's just easier to sort of live in this kind of, more curated bubble, that you keep yourself in.
It's the dopamine hits.
Yeah.
You're going for the things you're like, I know if I go here, I'm going to be entertained and I'm going to enjoy what I'm doing in my life. And so I think as we start to look to the past, I could talk about the past a lot because I'm very idealistic of like some of the fun stuff that has happened and like wishing that I could somehow recoup that and understand or have loved that a little bit more and understood that it was like finite in the sense that it was good not to know in certain cases, So if we could, and I'm curious if you're out there, chat, how long do you realistically think you could go without internet? Like, honestly, like right now, have you ever really just stopped and thought about it? Like, when it, like, I thought this was funny. It's like, right now we're on the freaking internet and you're listening to
You're
us.
watching
and here.
us. We're not embodied.
No.
All of the things. I guess Adam and I are.
Yeah.
So
hey,
there's something.
Hey, buddy.
Right. Exactly.
I'm here with you.
I've been looking at the screen version of you, even though you're
I
sitting
know.
right next to me.
It's all for the views. No, I was just kidding. So let's take our scenario.
Yeah. We think we should get back to our scenario.
So what if the internet shut down every Sunday?
Yeah.
And this is the interesting part of this, and so we think about it.
No, Mike Azul, no.
It starts on Thursdays every other week.
Start on Act 2. I'll be right back.
So let's take some insights, and welcome to the show, Mike Azul. It's glad to have you here today. So let's talk about the scenario, and I'm just gonna dispel this right now. Highly implausible, if not impossible, to have this happen. But we want to take this scenario to ground, and then we'll take it to some reality here. And so the concept of the show, or at least this segment, was to talk about what might it look like if we could actually shut the internet down once a week. And so in this particular scenario, it would require ridiculous amount of coordination for this to happen. And you know how we are right now in this world. We can't even agree on basic things, even in a single country, much along the entire world, to do this. So dispel reality for a minute. What would be things that we need to think about? I love that chat. There would be absolutely packed restaurants, but one of the concepts that we started to look at is like, when is the ideal time? Because the entire world would have to go off at a single time. And if you wanted to try to like time box it to a weekend, how could that be accomplished? And we thought, the 9 p.m. time frame, this is UTS time, every Saturday, it would basically hit all of the different time zones so that you could get back to a reconnected world on a Monday, if you will. So the idea is that we would be giving humanity, if you will, back this opportunity. And I'm sure people would freak out down, on the initial aspects of this. So if we started to do this unplug, and somehow it was how it would work. Now, here's where we get down to some reality. And I gotta pull out some notes because I had some good insights on this as we were to go down. Is that one of the things that I thought of is the biggest challenge is we've become so dependent on things from a critical services aspect. And so we would have to figure out how banking works, transportation, hospitals, security systems, just the basics on business alone would be like a major challenge. There are some statistics that if the U.S. had a 24-hour outage, $11 billion in lost revenue would happen. Now, am I measuring myself in dollars?
Sure.
And that's what I thought. Now, the critical services aside,
that's the capitalism side of it, right? Like,
right.
Who gives a shit how many dollars it loses?
Right.
If we're all losing it together, is it really losing that much? That's when I read that, I was kind of like, that feels sort of like of course capitalism is going to say
for
that.
sure. and then we ran it to ground. It's okay, how would this work? Is could you just shut off the fun parts of it?
Right.
Social media, streaming, all those things. Then that becomes then infinitely complex at that point as well.
I almost feel like that's a slippery slope, right? If you decide you're going to shut down everything, you got to shut down everything, because then someone's going to say, oh man, my business is part of the infrastructure of it. It has to be open. There's going to be loopholes, and there's going to be lobbying that they get to use the internet, and you're going to get, it's almost like universal basic income. You got to give it to the billionaires too, because even if you have to give it to everyone, you have to give it to everyone. That was my take on this. Like, you got to just take it away from everything. And as I learned doing some of the research in this, lots of infrastructure is meant to survive and work with no internet, right? Like, your water system, your electrical system that you get, stuff from, the lights in your town, your all of that stuff. A lot of it still, can work with no internet. So maybe we'd be fine in that sense.
So I think in our case, and this is just helps like frame us up, is that we're totally acknowledging how ridiculous it might be to do this in a logistical nightmare with these critical services. But if we dispelled that piece of it, and this economic impact that we're talking about, what could it then be like in that moment? Let's just imagine that we figured that out in some capacity, and you're able to unplug the router for the world.
Sure.
What does it start to look like? Social and personal impact. That's a great place to start. I think that initially there would be that like that feeling of loss, like you're like missing something, like
Sure.
that. And I sometimes even do that. Like, where's my phone? I touch my things,
Yep.
and we do that. But I do start to think that we would start to get to a point of starting to adapt to that. Maybe even looking forward to it in its sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be. I mean, the bad part about it, I think this is like, are we too addicted to it? Like we when we were doing research for this, like Sabbaths came up, right? And I was reading a lot of stuff and listening to a lot of stuff where they talk about like it's almost better if you're starting one of those where, let's say you had, is just like, don't do any sort of media like that. Like maybe it's not internet, but maybe it's media or screens or something for like a month. They want you to do it and be like, I am not doing any, I need like a reset basically to be able to say, what is important in my life? What do I do when I'm bored? Whereas if you only just have one day, it's almost like you're hungover from your 6 days of media and internet consumption. And so can you really even spend that one day in a state of, going out and meeting people and being out in the real world and doing all those great things that people say and and studies have shown is really good for you? Can you even do that if you don't have a reset to begin with? I don't know.
Well, and the idea too is like there's the reset, but like, are you just gonna be like typing in your like unconnected computer all your prompts for AI and like pre-prompting your emails?
Right.
I want to call it some chat. More babies being born, more murders too. One of the things
happening.
that we did in the research is that, like, to be honest, teens and other people are having less sex.
Right. Maybe we need a day with no, so that people could get it on.
And so, but I think that's the point here. So let's take a positive outlook on this.
Yeah.
And the way that I had kind of thought about it is that, like, it starts to open an opportunity.
Yeah.
For us to then start to engage with each other. It's like the human connection aspect of things. So we could get to a point where we're like, that's the day that I'm going to like go and have that lunch with a friend, or I'm going to go do this experience.
It's a forcing function. It's called a forcing function, right? And it just goes, okay, I got to wake myself up. And what's neat with, say you did this, communities could then build events around those times, right? So they would say, oh man, you don't have internet that day, come bowling with us, right? Or like, come do this community activity, or come walk your dog with all the other dog, lovers and stuff. Like they would, your whole kind of community, I could see like rallying around those days and being like, we know you're not at home freaking binging Netflix or, playing Call of Duty for the 10th hour. Like, we know you're bored. Like, take advantage of that and say, this is the moment to come out and do that. Come on, like that kind of stuff. I feel like that is a absolutely true and amazing, could be an amazing part of doing something like this.
And I think too, like, you get these opportunities to do things that I think people have resisted. I know a lot of people do this, but like board games,
sure,
sports,
right,
reading, like going out in nature, like physically getting out of your house. Yeah. Like these are those moments, like you start to think about the hobbies that you can do. Like, I think those are the things. I imagine that there would be more of like a kind of a new renaissance, if you will, of being able to see some like crazy art that starts to come out of that, and you have that moment to reflect for those 24 hours. And you have these opportunities to kind of relive in that. And I wonder too if it would help to like get people to do it a little bit more. Like you have the 24 hours that is enforced, but then as you start to go beyond that, you might be like, yeah, this is actually kind of nice. I want to do it a little bit more. So as we think about this, could you do it in a single day? I think that's an interesting, because people would probably be like, I'm super bored.
Right.
Bored. So then now they're going out and they're doing the things, and they're starting to check out what would be out there. So I like the earlier comment from Disturbed that you'd probably sleep a little bit. I was thinking, I bet you some people would be like, finally, I can sleep.
Finally.
And like, I think one of the things from a work perspective that's really hard on people today, which like this kind of thing could help, is that it is a true day of unplug. And in certain cases, like your boss might text you on a Sunday and ruin your entire Sunday because you see this thing and now it's in your mind. Like imagine being completely severed from that ability for somebody to like ruin your day. There have been a few weekends where I get up on a Saturday and I try to practice a little bit of this where I maybe don't get on the phone right away, but I try to like have a nice coffee, watch the sunrise, just be like a little bit lazy.
You're watching the sunrise on a freaking Saturday?
I do.
Oh,
I wake up early. I wake up
Yikes.
5 o'clock every single day of my life.
Yikes.
It's like in years I've been doing that. But the idea then was there was one time I remember I was like having this really good morning, and I picked up my phone and like instant anxiety. The weekend was ruined because somebody had sent an email, and it was in my mind the entire weekend. And I was like, to give people back their lives and their ability to like not be stressed for an hour, like how amazing could that be in those moments?
Yeah. I think there could be a ton of great things. You know, I think even just the idea of being bored with your family and being like, what are we going to do? Like it forces you to do something, you know, that maybe you were just planning on sitting around and playing video games or being in separate rooms and getting a little work done or something like that. I mean, that happens to a bunch of my weekends, right? I'm just going to work on this thing, you know, by myself over here because I haven't had time to work on it all weekend or all week. And so I do that. And then other people are doing the exact same thing in their own little bubbles, right? And I feel like if you can't do that, you know, hey, maybe you need to be conversing with each other slightly more, right? Or planning something around that. And I think if this situation was real and this was an entire world blackout, I think people would start planning around it in the sense of like, oh man, that's when we're going to go out and do things on that day, right? You just know that everything is not as convenient and easy as it's going to be on the other days. And you just know that going in, and it feels like nostalgic and it feels like you're hearkening back to the days of whatever. I could totally see it being like a movement that absolutely like catches hold of that thing. And if you sort of marketed it the right way and you built a bunch of community things around it, that you could scoop up 50, 60, 70% of people and be like, yeah, come on, you know, be into it, right? The 30%, you know, is always going to be against things. And, you know, we'll talk about some of the bad things. I have a list of
I think we're there.
Why it might not work.
Well,
you know?
we are at the challenges and criticism.
Okay, challenges and criticism. Let's do it.
I think, you know, I'm just going to put the elephant in the room here. There's going to be this like fine line between like authoritarian control,
right,
and then like this idea of something like, don't tell me how I live my life. I make the decisions. Like you shouldn't cut me off from these things. Like for sure, that's going to be a big like movement.
I mean, it's the difference sort of why this might not work in like intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation, right? Like, and I think you could get to at some point where it's intrinsic, but if you just force everyone to do it, I feel like there'd be this whole movement against you, right? Where it would be like everyone's mandatory. This is mandatory. I'm going to fight back against it as hard as I possibly can. I mean, that feels very American, in that way. But man, it would be political and it would be polarizing and all of that stuff for sure.
I think so. And I think that the other side of it I thought about too is that there would be like weird new networks and like satellite systems to circumvent the thing, to be like, yeah, I'm gonna get around this. I think that you can't. We said it at the beginning. It's just not gonna happen. But there you go. North Korea has a great model for this whole idea. You absolutely.
It's working great for them, right? That's what I heard.
Like, actually thinking about that, that's a really good point. Like, I would love to like understand, like, is their lives like better in
without
certain
the
ways?
starvation,
Yeah,
without the horrible, disconnection from everything, maybe.
But yeah, so I do think like there's a lot of propaganda and things of like how that's being pushed.
Yeah.
But in our sense, and it goes back to a lot of the critical resources, I think we've well surpassed this ability of, we've said, this is critical for us. It's like our modern infrastructure needs these other pieces. And so I think that's another part of the criticism. So they're just like, you can't do this because like there's so much critical work. Like people are going to die because of this. Like we need this ability to call this doctor at this time to make this happen. Because like I was thinking about this. Would it count to cut your phone off? Like, could you call someone versus text someone? Maybe you can't text, but you can call.
Yeah. There would be like weird nuances there, right? Because we're not talking about a full digital Sabbath, right? Like you could still use your phone, but not on the internet.
Yeah, it's like you go to straight caveman, world shuts down.
Right. Like electricity is gone for 20. We're not talking about that.
Right.
And so that I had this as one of the things that why it not work. Companies would just adapt to this and build addictive offline entertainment. Like imagine, Adam is totally hooked on YouTube stories. They would be like, oh, your off day, that off day of online, we're going to download the 600 best videos that we think for Adam, and that would be your offline thing to check out all day. Or Netflix, like they would just, no one would get the day off, right? I was like, oh, how could companies even survive? Like if I go to Target, if I run my credit card through there, it needs the internet to be able to process that payment to make sure I have the stuff. Guess what? Target is going to figure out a way to collect payments from you offline for that one day a week. Mm-hmm. So it's not like the people at Target are going to get a day off, right? It's not like this is going to be some utopia where we all just get to, hang out at the park and fly kites on that day. People are still going to be working. It's just going to be more of a pain in the ass than it is going to be. Like that was it's just going to be a pain. All the painful stuff of like checking my bank account to see if I have money or to be able to do like buy tickets to the baseball game that I want to go to. It's all just going to be harder and more difficult in that moment. And really, it's not going to be all that much. Is it really going to be all that different? I guess. Right. Is what would
it create the impact? Which I believe this is the logical thing. So I don't think it's possible. We said at the very beginning, right. It's just like majorly a challenge across the board. Now, of course, if there was some weird like solar flare that like cut out everything, and then we survive again of like from the apocalypse that has happened. I think this is an opportunity for us to start to think about, what reality could be. Yeah. Like what is something, beyond this 24 hours once a week that could be a thing. Like, so I think we've basically made the point that it's impossible.
Sure.
Right. At this point, unless you're in North Korea.
Yeah. Unless you're in North Korea. The only other thing that I wanted to say, I had why this might not work. Could it just turn us on each other? We don't know how to interact with each other. We would just go out and be interacting with each other. We don't know how that works like anymore. We're too far gone down the hole to even be able to go out. We're just going to end up hating each other and resorting back to our digital lives and our bubbles no matter what. I always think that could be it, the bad version
you
of this.
build up some anxiety or some like some things that so that when we have a conversation that you're already peeved because now you got pulled out of your shorts run.
Well, and when I go out and talk with real people, I'm like, they're just reinforcing that other people suck and that I should be in my own little Reddit bubble and video game bubble and Discord bubble.
Well, it's the risk thing. You go out for that 24 hours and you have a really bad experience. You're like,
screw this. This is why I don't go out.
This is why I hate this.
Yeah. Okay. So that was my last one.
No, I think that's a great thing. This is what I had put in the little slogan for our Twitch stream tonight. And it really starts to get to reality because there's actually people that are doing this right now. And I think that was the cool part of this is that they call it a digital detox. Mm-hmm. And so there's some practices in this. And so I think the reality comes, to personal kind of preference and intentionality of how you do this. And it's hard because these applications and the ways that we're engaging right now are so addicting that it really like pulls you in, but you have to like figure out ways to do this. So parents have been doing this with some of the things like I had heard, and this is a story I recently read where there were some parents that's like completely took away phones or any kind of smartphones from their kids. And the only thing that they could use is a landline. Yeah. And on the face value, that sounded interesting and good, but also it sounded like you were depriving them, and think about this across like multiple months. You're depriving them of learning along their peers on how smartphones work, how connectivity works. How do you critically think when you log online? How do you use AI in certain ways? How do you use like connectivity with your peers in a way that you're maybe doing them actually a disservice because our society has grown accustomed to using these things.
The only argument that I would have against that is like, could you not learn that when you were more developed and in your, say, late teens or early 20s? And you would leave childhood for childhood. Mm-hmm. You would leave childhood to playing in the street and getting dirty and doing that and be like, sure, you're going to live 60, 70 years of your life with digital stuff and how to do that. I mean, I don't know, because maybe not. Maybe you need to be like brought up in a society, like, I don't know if Amish kids grow up and incorporate into normal life as much. Like that would be a good study to look at, right? Because you'd be like, oh, they don't get any of that, but then at some point they get thrust into the real world. So I don't know. I feel like it's a hard balance to figure out exactly.
And I don't know. I think there's some other like social things that occur. And so I look at my sons, for example. So it's very anecdotal at this point, but they build their own connections with their friends. And I remember, and I was thinking about this, and my sons don't go and hang out with their friends a lot.
Yeah.
But they are constantly connected to their friends through all the applications that they're doing. And so, is there something there that is helping them develop in a different way and have these connections? And so that, to your point, you remove your kids from it and you get to this like later point and now they're connecting in and everyone's like, where have you been for the last decade? Because you haven't been engaged here and you don't know how any of this works. Right. And they're just like,
and you feel like, when you have like older parents or something like that, right? And you'd be like, they just don't engage with technology in the same way that people who are natives to that technology do.
Absolutely.
Right. So they just don't. And it's not, I don't even think it's like a brain plasticity thing. I don't think it's, anything like that. It's just like what you sort of do the most of is, and when you're younger is sort of how you end up sort of thinking about things as you grow older, right? And so if you don't have those types of things, then you just don't think about them in the same ways as you get older. We will be in the exact same boat. It doesn't matter how pulled into technology that we are. There's whole swaths of social media and stuff like that I just don't engage in because I'm an adult, that doesn't have multiple hours a day to be engaging in that with, right? And so I will feel like an older person that doesn't know how to use that technology or have that kind of stuff in the same way.
And so what I think the reason that I got to this point of wanting to have this conversation, I'll be honest, is probably a little self-serving, is that I think as we start to think about what can we do, and how do we reclaim a little bit of that humanity that maybe we feel that we're losing? And maybe it's just for me, and maybe the future generations are going to be okay and they evolve and they kind of work with it. But for myself, like, is there something I can do to reclaim a little more of that connection with people? And how does this become a more plausible scenario than just like cutting the internet and forcing people to have a 1 day a week?
Right.
Is that I think you could do this yourself. And there's already movements out there. There's movements that do national days of unplugging, like a single day of a year. There are families that do this as well. And they say, you put the phones up on a Sunday morning and you can't touch them till the end of that Sunday day.
Right.
And they do the work, like everything we described in the 1 day a week, but they do it themselves.
Yeah.
They disconnect and they make it an intentional effort to do that. And I think that's one of the things that I really, I guess I just, I despise it at this point. And even in myself sometimes, is that it feels like the phone is always there. And I hate it when somebody's on a phone when I could connect with them like there. I'm like, we are literally right here.
Right.
Let us like be in this moment together. Why does this thing have to like take attention away? And this is in like the relationships and the connections and the friends that I have. And that always feels like, even myself, when I look at my watch, people, oh, you got to go or you got to do it. I'm like, no, I got a text message. Right. And I'm like, man. And I've been very intentional, too, to be in those moments. And so I think one of the first, like, themes that I would say is you got to, like, find space to be in the moment.
Yeah.
And engage in that moment and understand that, like listen, we talked about this earlier, like listen to someone, listen with intent, want to be able to have that conversation. And then you can start to like let some of that other stuff go. And I've been in times where I start getting in a conversation and I forget about the phone and I start forgetting about like all the stresses and anxiety of life. And it starts to become a really like good moment. I'll give one anecdote, and I don't want to talk, be spouting all this stuff, but my son and I tend to do these walks that are about 2 hours. And there's something about those walks that fill me up in a whole different way, because when I put the phone away and it's locked and I turn it on complete silence, it's just me and him talking.
Right.
And like at the end of it, I feel better. I feel so like relieved. Like I've like got this weight off my shoulders. And it's because I had a human to human moment. I have zero clue what happened in those last 2 hours, and that's okay.
And that's where I feel like that intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation comes in here, right? Because if you tried to do this as a worldwide thing, that you forced everyone to do it, everyone would just fight back. But if this became a movement, right, where everyone did it on a Sunday, right, or everyone did it, we watched a video Friday night to Saturday night, right? You just like at 5 o'clock on Friday, you shut off, all of that, and you didn't do it until Friday, or 5 o'clock on Saturday. And if it became a thing where if somebody was writing you and sending you a bunch of videos, on a Friday night, you'd be like, what the heck? No. Like, we text each other and we go out somewhere and we do things. And that's like our new normal, is thinking about some point of time between this time and this time is being that. And I feel like people do that in their homes, and they just do it in small things. Like a lot of times people say, we're going to have dinner and you can't have your phone at dinner, right? Like you can't play on your phone while we're at dinner. And that's just a small version of being like, we're all sitting together, we're doing around a shared event of us eating dinner together, and we're conversating about what our day was, and we're not looking up how old Alec Baldwin is, right? When we have that thing, we're just saying, we're just going to sit on it and maybe not know how old Alec is, right? Until after dinner. And I could see that just expanding out further and further, because if you get those good dopamine hits of you being with people and physically touching them and talking with them in their face and knowing, and recognizing all of the things, then part of you says, great, thank you, Mike Azul 67. That's great. That what you would do is that would fuel more good feelings in that way of you going out and doing it. Now, what you lose in that situation is everyone's going to have different times that they're doing this, and you don't get the community effect and things like that. But I think those types of things could lead themselves even maybe to, citywide thing where we say, hey, we're always having, community events on this day, and this is our no internet day or something that, get into it.
There are movements that are happening now where there are businesses that don't have Wi-Fi or almost like Faraday cages, so you can't use your phone.
You can't bring your laptops into certain coffee shops and things at certain times.
And so it's like, I think these little pockets are happening, and I think some of the newer generations too have this nostalgic look back on maybe what it was in before, and so they're going towards these lesser kind of experiences. There's a newer phone that's been out, and I know they've done a couple iterations, but what it does, it's a smart-ish phone, but you can't, like, it almost like it's an LCD. You can still make calls, you can still do text, but you can't go down to the social media like paths that you are. So it's really trying to reclaim a little bit less, or reclaim more of that time before that, and you're giving up more of those like quick hits of that dopamine.
I feel like smartphones, you know what I would say is, when I was researching this, is like millennials and Gen X are almost like the worst of it, because they were born in a time when they sort of got it, and, or like were able to do it, and now they're like in it, and they're just like, oh man, now it's like part of my job and I got to do good and all of that, right? And what I thought was great is like seeing more of Gen Z coming up and saying, hey, we're all gonna go out to dinner. Put your phone in the plate in the middle, right? So that we're not paying attention to it. It's like they are the ones knowing that is there all the time. It's like, have you heard of like not looking at pornography? Mm-hmm. And they were like, children have grown up with the idea that you could just be on a thing and like look up pornography at any time that you wanted to. And when you have that always in the back of your mind, then you're just sort of like, well, I'm going to have to fight against that and say, I'm not going to look up pornography whenever I want. And so they don't. And so like, I was like, that's a great thing to think of this new generation coming up and going, maybe that is not the best way to just be fully online all of the time. And I love that.
And I think we're at this point where what we're trying to get to is that, while we can't do the 24-hour a week, there is absolute things that we can do. And I'm advocating for this for myself. And I would say that I think there is something out there that is truly important about the human experience. Ryan shared a really insightful podcast recently, and we talked about this a little bit more. And like, we're in these mediated environments, and I like that word, mediated. They use that a lot.
Right.
And the idea that we're almost driven by the devices that we have in front of us, where we wake up maybe by the alarm on our phone, and then we jump right into the news, and it's almost like it's controlling us to go and engage with itself, and we're not able to have our own moments. And like, I am guilty of this 100%. Like, I absolutely wake up and I look at my phone right away. I look at the news. I do my scrolls. That's how I get up. And when I go to bed, I do the damn same thing. I'm like, I earned this moment. I'm gonna do this swipe, and I'm gonna pass out from that. Yeah. But I also feel like then, like, my mind's active. I don't sleep well. I haven't been able to like do a really good arc in my in my human body to be able to make this happen. And I feel like I'm living my life in this like this other virtual space that doesn't really fill me up like I feel like some of the other things can do. Where when I have a really good conversation, like Ryan and I, after this or before this, looking each other in the eyes, having conversations, rarely like on our phones doing a lot of this work, and those moments feel real, and they also fill me up, and then they energize me as I go, and I want to continue finding those moments and really removing that, and it takes intentionality. Do you
think you could commit to hours, or if not a full day, hours of a time where you would be like, no, maybe I'm not having, if not internet, then no screens or something like that? Do you think that's something that you would just try to gradually incorporate into your life? Or do you think you'd be like, no, Friday night to Friday, morning or whatever, or Saturday morning, I'm not doing it?
So here's some ideas. I appreciate the question. Is that one of my moments, and I'm getting back into this, and this is probably within the last 2 months, is that I used to be big into running, and you knew that.
Yeah.
And I got out of the
Fell
game,
off.
fell off, kids, and
Sure.
had sports and all these other things, and then I just gained a lot of weight, and I ended up like not doing the thing.
Sure.
But one of my favorite moments about running for me, and like it was a golden moment. I said this to a lot of folks. Is I was like, that is the one time I can completely disconnect from everything. I wouldn't listen to earphones. I would put my phone in the car, like completely gone from it.
Right.
And so there was this like, it was about 30 minutes. I'd run a 5K where I was completely disconnected. It was in my head. That was the
Right.
moments I would process my life and do some of these things. And I absolutely adored it and loved the concept. And then after the 30 minutes of the run, like the phone would be in the car, and I was like, I just ran enough away from it that I'm okay. I can probably leave it in the car. Like, I don't need to get to it. I think the problem that we have is we've got so accustomed to wanting to be in contact with our loved ones
Yeah.
and making sure they're okay and that they know where we're at so that they feel okay. And it starts to become a really hard situation to escape it. So I think your original question is like, can I do that? And I think that I am practicing it in certain
Right.
ways. There are days that I wake up in the morning and I leave my phone in the room and I just walk away and I do some stuff. I make a breakfast. And I go
Yeah.
and watch the sun, like I said, and I drink some coffee and I'm not there. And then I come back to it and I see it.
Yeah.
Do you do things like,
I
I'm curious if the chat
definitely.
does.
Well, so my wife Kathy, I feel like she's a very yo-yo person on this type of thing. She will go super hard into it and be just like watching stuff all the time and doing that, and then she will do detoxes like a full week or something of just like no screens, no media. She doesn't listen. She will go so far
Wow.
as to be like, I don't listen to music. Like I will listen to like monks chanting or like bowls, that you do the like noises around, and she'd be like, cause I can't, I need to like cut it all out to then slowly bring things back in, which is why I would say is like, that is why like doing a big break from it can be good if you're like fully addicted. I would also say there's from that podcast, and if you go to our Discord or you go to Double Drop Down, you can see some of the links of the research that we did. This was this gray area podcast, and they had this great quote. It's not even a quote; it's a paraphrase from Walter Benjamin, which is a Frankfurt scholar, and he said, "There's a poverty of experience in the modern world." Right? As life gets more divorced from physical experiences, life gets more mediated. They get more on demand, and we seek relief and safety in the comfort of solved experiences. And basically, what he's saying is like, humans are very adaptable, right? We've known that. Like, you throw something at us, and now we don't have something, and we adapt to it. Problem is we're adaptable also to the easy side of things, right? And so we've adapted to this sort of life, easy, solved. I can go on, I can watch things. It's like I know I'm not going to get challenged even because I'm in my bubble. The sort of algorithm knows what I want to see, what I think is funny, what I interact with. And so my sort of takeaway from this entire thing as I was researching this and doing this is like, you cannot be afraid of like conflict. Like you cannot be afraid of going out and being bored or being challenged by someone or being in a weird situation that you like, don't have an answer for and that you need to figure it out. And the more that we kind of, as human beings, go out and now, before we didn't have to seek those things. They were just forced upon us because that was life. And now we have to think about being in situations that are not comfortable for us. And we have to say like, no, I am going to go out and I'm going to talk with people at a conference, right? That I don't want to talk to and that I'm going to be awkward and it's just going to be a thing. And that's the way that like you build up your character and do things and not just slip into a life of ease.
I absolutely love that, and I love the idea that it's something that we need, and something that I hate the idea that we have to seek it out anymore.
Yeah.
That sucks. It sucks that that's something there, and I love but it's still possible right now. We're in this mode of where we can go out and we can create these experiences if you're mindful. And I think we've been a little polarized. We're kind of like both ends of this on the extremes, like it's either in or out.
Sure.
I believe there's a whole gray area in between where we try to make these happen. Like I have conversations with people, and I connect with these people, and but it's always like just one step away from like that connection. Like the phone is sitting there right in front of you, or the watch that's like literally there sending those little like notifications to you. And like I even would say that we would have to be really mindful of even taking off the watch in certain cases, because the little vibrate's going to be like, oh, there's a notification.
Yeah,
there's a thing.
true.
There's a thing that's out there, and how are we gonna how am I gonna get? And then like your brain already starts to thinking, oh, okay, it could have been that. I mean, it's man, there was 2 beeps like in that quick. Like it feels like maybe there's an emergency, and I should like be connected with that. So to be completely mindful, it feels like we have to figure a way to cut ourselves out of those experiences.
Yeah, we have to be intentional about it now.
Intentional. I love the word intentional.
Yeah. Great. This was a great conversation. I feel like this felt like a fluff piece when Adam gave it to me at first, and I learned a lot from it getting into it.
Yeah. And it was I got to be honest, it was a little self-serving. I've been thinking about this topic quite a bit of time. It's like, how do we digitally disconnect? And I think if I were to have my like parting thoughts as we start to close on our topic today, is that as I start to see the youth, my kids being like some of those. So my son's recently turned 15, and he's the youngest, and we have a 16-year-old, and then there's a 17-year-old, and some older children that are part of my life, or they're not kids anymore. They're adults if they're beyond the 18. Is that I just see them so integrated in their phones, and I see them addicted to it, and I try to figure out like how can I like break through on that. And how can I like really reestablish those connections? And so it's been something that's been like personal to myself, and just being able to explore the topic, kind of hear these things has been important. And the research, like it is important to be able to look somebody in the eye, have a conversation, not be connected 24/7, and then be able to have an experience is, I think, an important part of being a human.
Yeah. Oh, great way to end it. Thank you, Adam. And thank you, chat, for coming up and having a big, amazing conversation with us about it. Thank you.
If you have topics or ideas that you have, it's always really something that we're looking to talk about. Let us know in the Discord. You can text us if you know us. If you have any other insights,
we need an email address. We need like a double drop down or what is our Gmail address?
That's so old school, Ryan.
I feel like people still do that.
Snapchat us. Come to our website. We have some information on how you can contact us on doubledropdown.com. And we'd love to hear some of those topics. We have
Send
a lot
us a postcard to our P.O. box.
Put it to, it's like send us a snail mail. Does anybody even send a mail anymore? Like,
when was the last time you sent something into the mail?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't think I remember. Everything's virtual anymore. Everything. Bill pays, all of that. I think it's been a minute.
It's been a little bit. I made Christmas. Every year I make physical calendars, and I don't want to pay for them to get mailed out everywhere, so I get them sent to me, and then I package them up and mail them. So that's definitely a thing.
That's good. Well, thanks for joining us tonight on this particular topic. If you want to enjoy some time, I think we're going to go transition into, you want to do a quick game?
Let's do it.
All right, we're going to do some Jackbox. I'll go in the other room, Ryan. Entertain as I transition.
Oh yeah, I always feel like I gotta tell a story. Then you stole mine.
Oh, sorry, sir.
Now I can't hear it. That's okay. Why do I need to hear it necessarily? I'm just gonna pull it out. Later. Okay. Let's see. Story. Ryan's story. So we got a bunch of hail at our house, and so we got a new roof, which they put the new roof on today with all the shingles and all the stuff. And I will just say, a couple things happen with our stuff. Like we're getting a little back area like built onto our house, a little sunroom, and they were messing with the roof, right? Which you gotta mess with the roof to attach it, but they didn't seal it off with sort of plastic or anything. And so then when it rained really hard, it was just pouring into our house and we didn't realize it. It was like getting the rug all wet. It was coming down the wall. And then we were like, oh my God. And so we're vacuuming it all up and we're like, oh, we'll wet vac it up and we'll do that. Okay. I feel like it's pretty okay. And then literally the next day, the entire ceiling of our master bedroom caved in, or, about a third of it.
It was rough.
So that was tough, but we were talking about weather earlier today, so that's been a fun adventure of talking to real life people in real life, talking to them and seeing their body language and their facial movements, and figuring out things and having to have harsh conversations with people, and also nice conversations with people about it who owned up to it. But anyway, that was that's my transition story. Are we good, Adam?
We are ready to go. We're going to play some Drawful, get to Jackbox.tv, and I'm glad that got fixed. Like, I think it was literally last show, about 3 hours before the last show that had happened to Ryan. And so I felt like that was a really bad experience for him, where he was like, hey buddy, my whole ceiling in my room just fell out. And then sure enough, he still came and made it for the show. It wasn't raccoons. It could have been raccoons, if you will. All right, we're going to jump into it. If you got Jackbox, if you played with us before, we're going to be playing some Drawful tonight. So let's get on this for here. All right. Ryan will be here shortly. We're sorry. A network area curved. Oh, no, we're good. Did I get first? I got first! Ha ha! First time. I got 16 games, 80% off. This is always a good way to end the hangout after some serious conversation is.
Right. That's why I like it. I played this with the family just the other day. Hello.
Nice one, Shifty. Heck yeah, Becky. Has it been raining where you're at? Because it's been raining over here like crazy. Damn. Higley going in for the full.
I was like, I've never done that before.
I know we got 7 in the chat. If you'd like to join, we're going to give you just a few more minutes. Jackbox.tv.
Nice.
You have 3 devices going to do this. Damn, that's some dedication.
You're just like playing 3 different characters. Are you also Becky and Adam?
That's interconnection there. You know what I'm saying? All right, we're going to get this guy started up. We're going to give him just another minute here. If we're ready. It's 10:31.
10:31.
Well, at least in mountain time.
The one true time zone.
Phone is chat, Xbox is watch, and tablet is draw.
Yeah, I feel like what I got to use my fat finger on my tiny phone. Is your phone bigger than my phone?
Nope, yours is bigger than
Welcome
mine.
to Drawful. 4 players.
Thicker.
Cool. That means I only have to pretend to like 8 of your drawings. I'm gonna get this thing started. Okay, I've sent a prompt to each of your devices. something
Oh, it's gonna be
odd or
hard.
funny, like Frat Bros or Mad Max Fury Road cosplay. Draw a picture on your device that would have that title, and when you're done, hit send. You'll get points for each player that can correctly guess your title, so have fun!
Hello.
It's the scream for Disturbed. It's the modern version of it. If you have like 4 players, it makes it really tough. If you get 5 or 6, you start to get a little less difficult prompts. That's the challenge, though. Are you an artist? Can you make it
30-second
happen?
warning. Finish up and hit send. This game will be a lot less fun if you don't get your drawing in.
I had 30 seconds. Like, I hate it when it starts making the noise.
It just wants to make sure you're good, Ryan. I'm gonna turn this music down a little bit.
Yeah, we don't do it.
It's really loud for us.
Warning. Warning.
You just went for it. Mine was a little rough,
All
too.
right,
I
your
was,
drawings are
yeah.
in. Let's take a look.
If I felt I could have made this very cool.
Now, take a wild guess at what the prompt for this title could be.
First up, huh?
I like the challenge sometimes because you gotta kind of think like, the first image that comes in my head is usually like, oh yeah, that's
Type in
great,
anything.
but it's not gonna get the answer.
Right. Like, it's not going to get people choosing it over other people's stuff, right? Like, there's a fine line.
And here are your choices. One of them is the real title.
Interesting.
Hello.
I'm pretty sure it's Greg.
And here are your picks.
You're out.
Good. Becky getting it in the first one.
All right.
Oh, damn.
It's World War One.
Oh, it was that.
World War I.
Nice.
Everything I know about World War I learned from Snoopy.
From like the Red Baron.
Oh, yes. Trying to meet you, sucker.
Up next, type in a convincing title now.
$19.17, 1917, huh?
Come on, typing time is almost up.
Hello. Okay.
Okay, here are your choices.
I heard that it was a one shot. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
one shot. I don't think it was actually, but it was like set up. Oh, sorry.
Wait, no, you're good.
Yeah, I'm just not close enough. Hello.
Oh, come on.
Oh
come
man,
on.
I feel like I picked the wrong one. Right when I hit it.
Right
too.
when you hit it, you're like, nope, that wasn't. I
And
did-
here are your picks.
son of a bitch.
Damage.
Comic-Con.
Oh, it was
Oh!
it. Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, Becky's like,
Man,
she's cashing in tonight,
that was good.
or they are cashing in.
All right. I dropped 2 spots.
Okay, the next drawing.
We haven't played Dirty Drawful in a while.
That's true. Is that one called something different?
It's called Dirty Drawful.
It's called Dirty Drawful. And there was only one of those?
Yeah, it just came out. I feel like it's very. I don't know. It is dirty.
It's dirty. Yeah, I don't feel like even. I don't know.
It's like fun.
I don't like.
Hurry up,
Yeah,
people.
I don't feel like I have as
Type
much
something
fun. Like even if it were just like it didn't matter for the stream or anything, just if we were just playing it, I think I would play normal Drawful.
Yeah.
Is made like as a novelty
Here are
occasionally.
your
I just
choices.
don't. They don't come out as good. Okay.
Oh, jeez. This is funny. Wait, you.
Okay, who picked what?
Yeah, you get that shit.
Yeah, thank you.
This is very highly specific. I'll just let you know. Hell yeah.
Yes, I knew it. I was like, this is gonna be.
See, it only had just a little bit of spice on that.
Sweet. Becky,
I love it, Becky.
killing it.
Put in your titles now.
Okay.
Quick, type in anything.
Stop giving things
And
away.
here are your choices.
Disturbed.
No, he was the last one.
Oh, he was doing the last one. Okay, I thought he was doing this one.
No, he was
I was
saying
like,
that he
he's
typed
spoiling
it and he
me.
didn't get it. And I mean, I've had that happen. You get the right thing, and then it's like, no, sorry, you're too damn
Oh.
close.
Just tap any button. And here are your picks.
Damn it! Ah!
I got Adam's number.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Okay.
Dog Congress.
Come on, it's got to be Dog Congress, right?
Nice. Wait.
I thought it was like the lid of the thing for Lady and the Tramp. When they
That's
take
what
it
I
off
was
and there was
thinking.
spaghetti.
Yeah, that's what you got me on.
Yeah.
I was
Hey,
like,
let's
there's
do that
no.
drawing thing again.
Right,
Crash
that's the
again
only
devices
thing.
now.
I was like, there's no spaghetti strand. This is a good one. Oh man.
Oh, Jesus. I feel like I screwed this one up, but whatever. Going in for it, y'all. I feel like Disturbed having a tablet and a pen potentially is a nice experience for this game.
What? I was gonna say cheating like a motherfucker.
Oh, you used the word now. Great.
We haven't used one in a while.
No, we haven't. That's not cheating. I have this pen that you can use to draw on things, but it's not like an actual
What is
nibbed
it that you're
pen.
drawing that's so important, huh?
It has
30
like a-
seconds left. Let's go.
Like a whole touch interface on it. I don't
Oh
know.
man, that's cool.
Using
No.
a pen and a tablet. Oh wait, when is the
Okay.
Inktober is coming too?
Oh man.
You gonna do it this year, Ryan?
Yeah, that's right. I was gonna. Okay, I'm gonna do it this
Great.
year.
All the
Inktober.
pictures are in. Let's take a look at our next drawing.
Yeah, I'm excited for an Inktober. It's hard. Disturbed warned me last time. He's like, by the time you get to the middle, you start getting burnt.
Yep. That's what happens. That's the dip.
Drawing every day. But as you start getting over that hump and you get closer, you're like, yeah. And then after you're done, you're just like,
Come on, typing time is almost up.
I did the thing. And you're proud of it. I'm proud of like the things that I was able to accomplish.
And here are your choices.
Wait, did you get cut? What happened?
And
Misspelling
here are
mine was a bad
Well,
thing, but I got two people.
you got 2 people.
I was supposed to be help. I'm stuck in the rock.
Ryan knew.
Damn! I swept that round.
You did. You
I
got
swept
lucky
that shit.
with the misspelling and
With the
all.
misspelling.
Punk.
Damn. Number one
You
again.
just gave him
$2
number
grand.
1.
I'm like 2 up. I'm like 2K up.
That was on you all, chat.
And now, this one.
You're like, I didn't vote for that shit.
Oh shit! Commercials. I'm so sorry.
Oh, what? Yes! I perfectly timed it once again.
Hey, I'm serious.
If you don't
Mine
want
is
commercials, you can always subscribe to
True.
DoubleDropout.com.
Oh, man.
I don't want to be that guy. But doesn't the
Oh, tell me it
up.
took
And
it.
here are your choices.
did it? Did it not? Got some rewards.
Apparently.
Let's see what people picked.
Damn it. Oh
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, that's the only time getting chosen
I bet he doesn't
first
even
is
look
you're
at the
like,
Outlook calendar.
okay.
Shifty going for the top. That's a three G's, buddy.
Yeah, that's good.
Even with commercials.
Yeah, but I got a 3 streak.
Yeah. Don't help this guy over here.
Let's do another one.
Does it block the ads?
Type in anything.
I didn't know if it blocks the ads on that. That's crazy.
What?
On Twitch, do you have an ad blocker?
Okay, here are your choices.
Hello.
It's twice I haven't been able to put mine in.
Damn, I didn't know it could block commercials like that.
What? What was that for ad blocker?
Select an answer.
You can watch
Come on.
Twitch streams with ad blocker and it won't have commercials.
And here
what
are your
happens?
picks.
I just probably doesn't have them. Just watch it.
Yes.
Good job, Becky.
Okay. I didn't get to write my name because my thing loaded, but I was gonna say an orphanage bicycle.
Oh God. No one would have voted for that.
Ah, damn it.
Try enemies at the top.
So I do.
She's cheating.
Type in a title now.
Hello.
I've enjoyed these prompts. These have been fun.
Hurry up,
like-
people.
I-
Just type
I hate when I like put it in and I'm like, oh
Here are your
man, I know what that
choices.
is. Oh man. Hello.
Just pick one. Okay, who picked what?
Yeah, I got
Ah,
someone.
damn it! What the heck?
I'll take it.
Ah, what?
Yeah.
Come on.
Mayor
of
Party
course
Town.
it's Mayor Party Town.
He's old timey though. I got.
The strap is how you tell someone is a mayor.
I get it. I get it. Uh oh, did it? Oh, it kicked us out. It kicked us out. It didn't think.
I think we all knew. I think we all knew it.
It was like this guy has won too many times at this point. So
That's perfect. All right.
that was great. Hey, it was still fun.
Yeah.
Except for the prompts being ridiculously long. So
They were
hey,
long.
thanks for hanging out with
Yeah.
us all night on the stream. It was really good to talk about this, right? And I feel like we're old timers now. We have these conversations
Yeah.
quite a bit of time.
We gotta shout at our clouds.
That's right. It's our time. My son calls me a boomer all the time. I'm like, I just don't think you know what that is.
Gen
but-
X, you know, Adam's full Gen X, right?
Yeah, I am.
I'm an elder millennial.
You're elder millennial. You're like
That
right
was
on the
6
cusp.
months, I know.
I was
totally.
literally
We're
on the
we're
cusp
both-
of
we're
it all,
both-
so-
we're both just right on the
Well, in
cusp.
any case, thank you so much. Please let us know if there's a topic you'd like
Yeah.
us to talk about. We'd love to
Totally.
hit a chat topic if that
Yeah.
was something that was out there. And we'd love to
Absolutely.
be able to hang out with you all. So,
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you. Good night.
well, you have a good night, all. Thank you.
Woo.
Bye-bye. Weird it kicked us out at the end.
That is.
I think it's just their stupid services.
They're stupid servers. That's probably the long and short of it.
I think it ended up being an alright topic.
Yeah. Oh, totally. It was good. It was. You know what it was?